It is absolutely lovely to see so many eager faces in the crowd, and I extend a very warm welcome to you on behalf of Architect and Interiors India for joining us today in what promises to be an enriching evening full of stirring debates and sparkling conversation. So, a bit about design debate for you. Architect and Interiors India Design Debate, presented by Havells, has taken the design fraternity by storm across the nation in Tier 2 cities specifically for a constructive debate on the discourse of design. Tradition versus technology are arguably two sides of the same coin, and the delicate balance between the two is what will dictate the designs of tomorrow. Across 3 editions of Design Debate in Ahmedabad, Chandigarh, and Pune so far, industry stalwarts and fresh faces of the fraternity have led this engrossing tussle. And what better city than Kochi to take this tete-a-tete forward, located in a state where architecture steeps in traditional values but walks shoulder to shoulder with contemporary technologies. So welcome to this evening replete with knowledge sharing, and welcome to Havells Presents Architecture and Interiors India Design Debates, Kochi edition. Huge round of applause now for Mr. Indrajit Sauji, the Director of ITP Media, to deliver the opening address.
Good evening, Kochi. Thank you. I know you have been patiently waiting for the event to begin. I'm really sorry for this delay. I'm told people are still stuck in traffic and we'll have a full house. We have more than 300 plus registrations, and I'm sure we'll have the hall full to its capacity. It's my absolute pleasure and honor to welcome you all to this Kochi edition of Design Debate. This is our first on-ground event in Kochi post the pandemic. And seeing the overwhelming response, I am really thrilled. A huge round of applause for each one of you for being here today and helping us make this event possible. Last 2 years have been tough for all of us, personally as well as professionally. The industry has witnessed the worst in known history, and hopefully we have left the worst behind. Fortunately, we have all gathered here today to debate on future of design and how we can strike a balance between tradition and technology. Each year, technology strengthens its grip on our everyday lives, and with progress showing no signs of lowering. It is increasingly hard to remember what life was like before the tech took over. Despite this, there are those who appear to be hankering after simpler times, ditching smartphones for 3310s, rediscovering vinyl, or logging off Facebook for good. But this is just the minority. Or is it a nostalgia that we are facing, that we are leaving our past traditions behind, and perhaps a growing group who have stumbled on something that rest of us haven't yet? Well, here at Architect and Interiors India, we wanted answers. So we settled things down once and for all. So we pitted the dawns against the next gens to find out who wins, tech or tradition. A big thank you to all our sponsors for believing in us and helping us to bring this industry back to physical events and deliberate on the pertinent questions we have. A big thank you to Havells, our presenting partner. Thank you Vidyashankarji and Kshitij for really being instrumental for making this event happen. Fundamax, our category partner. Thanks Prashantji and Aditya. Dorma Kaba, our category partner. Thanks Naveen. MRF Epcure Paints, our category partner. Thanks Henry for all your help.
Thank you everyone. And let's follow that up with Mr. Vidyashankar Krishna, JVP and Marketing Head at Havells India, on stage to deliver the welcome address. Please, a round of applause for Mr. Vidyashankar. A seasoned veteran in the field, let us hear his informed take on this debate between tradition and technology.
A very warm welcome to all the eminent architects, all the delegates who have taken time out to participate in this discussion. It gives us great pleasure to be a sponsor and a presenter of this event, as this discussion is going to have a very significant impact in terms of how some of the organizations like us are going to move ahead. My name is Vidyashankar Krishna. I am the marketing head for professional lighting at Havells India Limited. Thank you, Indrajit and ITP, for giving us this opportunity to collaborate and also to interact and exchange dialogues with all the eminent people who have gathered here. This debate is a very interesting one. This takes me back into some of the memories that we had 10-12 years back, where we talked about the conventional lighting technologies versus at that time what was an emerging LED lighting technology. It was a very, what should I say, an engaging duel, as there were people who were recommending both forms of technology because both of them had their own kinds of advantages. But come over a period of time, today it is the LEDs who have actually taken over almost 90-95% of the market. So what does that mean? Does that mean that the traditional designs and the systems are not important? I'm sorry, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that change is a way of life. We need to adapt, and as lighting companies, we need to very quickly adapt to not only the changing technology but also to changing user preferences. Now let's see what's happening in the LEDs. You now see that some of the old used concepts of lighting products, where we used to have those mirror optics, right? We could remember those T5 lamps with mirror optics. Now they're coming back in fashion. They want to come back, and people want those solutions, right, for various advantages, but with LEDs. So this is a very interesting debate. So I really look forward to how this discussion is going to go ahead, because I don't think it's a very clear choice. If you ask my opinion, there is always space for both. You need tradition, you need technology. Look at Havells India Limited. We are an Indian company. We are rooted in the traditions and values of India. We operate in 60 countries across the world, which means if we have to thrive as a business, we need to embrace the newer and upcoming technologies. And why? Which is why a company like us invests heavily in innovation and innovative products to give us that continuous edge. While I talk about this, a very interesting phenomenon happened around what we call as pre-COVID, post-COVID scenario. This has now started changing the design mindset of people. Now, are we going to look at employees in a workspace the same way we used to look at them before? I doubt it. Remote working is a way of life. And if we have now read some of the great CEOs of large companies, for them, remote working is there to stay. What is more acceptable probably would be 1 day in a week or maybe 2 days in a week. So how does that change the equation for architects, for designers, and hence, how does it impact the business models of lighting companies? Because the thought process is very different. I would also like to share some data. This data is from Gallup, which is a very renowned agency, a Gallup global survey on employees, and this is an international survey. Now, this may not have a direct relevance to what I'm speaking, but it's something worthwhile to consider. The question is, how is life at work going? This was a very simple question that was asked to all the employees in India, in many countries abroad. And you know what is the stunning figure? 60% of the employees or the people working in offices are emotionally detached to work. I mean, take this figure, 60% are emotionally detached. 19% are miserably detached. So that makes it 79% of people who today cannot engage with what is going on in their professional lives. So what does that mean to us? It means that there is a hell a lot of stress, there's a hell a lot of emotional distress that one is carrying today when they are coming to a workspace. Employees who routinely experience burnout. In India, burnout is a very common thing, right? People work 10 hours, 12 hours, 14 hours a day, and we take it for granted, right? These people make up for almost 23% of today's population in a workforce, people who are experiencing burnout, and it's these people who are invariably found in medical emergency rooms. So, I'm talking about so many of us here. We could all be part of the 23%. So when we bring this kind of stress to our office, what does that office environment or design mean to me? Is that going to make me even more stressful because I'm emotionally distressed? Is my design, is my architecture going to give me a little bit of a soothing experience? And thereby I would ask myself as marketing head, can my lighting products and solutions give these people a little bit of a comfort and a pleasant environment where they can work? The data also shows the daily worry in these employees is 40%, which means 40% of the employees come to office carrying daily worry. Daily anger is there in 21% of people. It's frustration. Many things which are leading to anger, 21% of the employees. Daily sadness, this is in 23% of employees. And I'm talking about a survey, right? This is Gallup survey. This is all done, studied, research, published. And you know what is it? If you take this only in Indian context, all these parameters, what I said, be it anger, sadness, stress, it's all higher by another 20-25%. So very, very interesting but very impactful statistics in terms of how people who are coming to workspaces are today coming with a baggage. So I would even look at today's debate and raise a further question. Can we just go beyond just design and tradition, technology and tradition, right? Because we need to even look at what is the experience of a user. At the end of the day, who is determining what design, what technology to adopt? It is the user. How well we know the user, right? So we need to now probably get into understanding and providing space for users in offices. You know, you won't be surprised that today many employees in this great resignation era, they are rejecting offers just because the office environment is not conducive. It's not a comfortable place to work. It's not a comfortable place where they can relax. People are quitting jobs. So there is a major awakening which is happening in this regard. And the data says an average employee almost spends about 89,000 hours of his life at a workplace. Okay? That is the amount of time we're going to spend in a workplace, which means if that place is really not designed for me, if it's designed for somebody else, then probably that is not the place for me. I mean, I may not be productive enough. So, Havells India Limited, the lighting division, right? We have a division, we have a unit within our organization called the CXD. We call it as a Customer Experience and Design Studio. And what we are doing there is we are studying the consumer. We are studying how a consumer interacts or engages with our product, how they actually use. And we take those learnings and incorporate, in our products. And thereby, that gives us a slight advantage of making the customer feel much more comfortable, and we can engage much better with those customers. We also have just a little information to all regarding Havells. We have 14 manufacturing units across the country, right? As I told you in the beginning, we work in about 60 different countries. And as far as lighting is concerned, we have 3 main R&D centers, right? Having more than almost 150, 200 people who are working purely into R&D and who are helping us come out with products that are highly quality oriented and that are reliable. So, in short, Havells, we will continue to play a very leading role, right, in the area of lighting because of our involvement, because of our deep innovative culture that we carry, and we always want to be at the forefront of, be it tradition, be it technology. For us, we would be balancing both. At the end of the day, what we want to deliver to our customers is our brand promise, which is nothing but better light, better life. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vidya, for bringing those really important points to light. Moving on, our guest of honor for the evening is Mr. S. Gopakumar, Principal Architect at Kumar Group. However, as of 2 days ago, unfortunately, he is down with COVID and he cannot make it here today evening. He sends his regrets. However, we have a short clip made by Mr. S. Gopakumar himself as he could not be here physically. So let's have a look.
First of all, let me thank the organizers for calling me for this great function, design debate by architecture and interiors. I went to the profession of architecture by joining the College of Engineering Architecture School, the only institute at that time to learn architecture. At a point when nobody knew what is architecture. I had a lot of difficulty in convincing my parents too. But after the education, I got a job with world famous architect Padma Vibhushan, Charles Correa. After working for 5 years with him, I started my own firm, Kumar Group Total Designers, dealing with architecture. We are fortunate to do a lot of good buildings, interiors and landscape. And after 50 years of successful practice, I handed over my firm to my son Anuj Gopakumar, who is taking the lead in continuing with the profession which I started. We went through all the great times as well as difficult times, and we are fortunate that we are successful at the end. I also thank the organizers for giving me this award, though I don't get it personally. And I hope this will be an inspiration to the new generation of architects who are following my footpath. Thank you so much.
So today we have his son Anuj Gopakumar, Vice President and Chief Architect at the Kumar Group Total Designers, to receive this award on his behalf. I please request Anuj to come on stage. And if Mr. Vidyashankar from Havells and Mr. Indrajit could join us for the felicitation. S. Gopakumar, an integral part of the architecture fraternity in not only Kerala, not only the South, but the entire nation. He is a true inspiration to millions in the industry. He has won the prestigious Baburam Mhatre Gold Medal in 2020, the highest honor that can be bestowed by the Indian Institute of Architects, placing him in the league of stalwarts such as Charles Correa, Balkrishna Doshi, Laurie Baker, and Raj Rival. Being the first architect from the South to be recognized by this distinguished award, his extraordinary approach to design speaks leaps and bounds about his expertise. His firm, Kumar Group, is one of the largest consulting firms in Kerala. With many large-scale projects under his belt, He has also contributed immensely to academia and urban design, and most recently written an autobiographical take on the evolution of architecture in Kerala, Mind on Fire. It is with immense pride and pleasure that we would like to have honored him today for his inspiring work in the field of architecture.
I'd like to thank the organizers as well as Architects in Interiors India for bestowing this Guest of Honor Award to my father, Architect Gopakumar. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here today. He became COVID positive a couple of days back. He sends his regards and special thanks to everybody, and I'm deeply honored to actually receive this particular honor on award in his behalf. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Anuj, and we wish Mr. S. Gopakumar a very speedy recovery. Mr. Indrajit, if you could please wait back on stage. I'm so sorry, Mr. Vidyashankar, we need you back on stage again for our next Hall of Fame guest, our keynote speaker, the eminent Mr. George Mathai. We request you to join us on the stage for the felicitation. Please give him a huge round of applause. Our keynote speaker, George Mathai. An immensely decorated architect, your distinguished work continues to inspire through the years. You have been recognized with the IIA Best Worker Award in 2001 and the IIA Gold Leaf Award for Excellence in Architecture in 2016, spotlighting your profound knowledge and understanding of architecture. Having held an exhaustive list of positions throughout your illustrious career, including Chairman of IIA Cochin Chapter, Chairman of IIID Kerala Chapter, and Design Chair, Department of Architecture at the KMEA College of Engineering, Kochi, your achievements have no bounds. Several of your notable projects, including the Rivera Suites Kochi, the Ramada Resort, MOSC Medical, IBS Corporate Office, the Vasundhara Sarovar Premier Resort, and the Vidyodhaya School, draw from the wisdom of established practices while adding renewed flair for relevant and timeless works. Today, through your firm Terraform Projects Private Limited, you are exploring new frontiers in design with the emerging discipline of agritecture, a potent combination of agriculture and architecture. We take great joy and pride in honoring you for all your contributions to the field of architecture and design. Mr. Mathai, I would request you to address the very eager crowd now.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm extremely grateful to Havels, who is presenting Architect and Interiors India for this design debate on technology and tradition. I see my familiar faces here, and I'm extremely happy to be in the presence of our esteemed professor, eminent academician, and great practicing architect, Professor Eugene Pandala, Jose K. Matthew, whom I respect so much. He's been a great inspiration and a great leader, and my dearest close friends, Sarah, Matthew, and Jay Gopal. We grew together in architecture in CET. It's been great times, and all of us have had our journeys. We forayed into different pathways, had our successes and failures, but at the end we are here, we survived, and I think we should give ourselves a big clap for what we have achieved so far. I think it's been a great journey indeed. And I don't have much time, even though it's a keynote address. I think maximum I might spend 15 minutes over here on this particular topic. So I would straight away get into it. My issue with today is we have a lot of youngsters over here, and the debate, tradition and technology. Tradition is okay. So the moment you talk about technology, technology was always there. It's not that it's a new introduction at any point of time. Even when traditionally we were doing a certain stuff, there was a kind of technology and a technique that was infused, which was relevant for that period of time. So basically, let the topic be on tradition and technology, but for this, my address, I would probably call it tradition and modernism, or tradition and modern architecture. So maybe I would try to navigate my way through between these two terms, and I will not merit or demerit any particular position coming up with a few premises and a conclusive statement or anything of that sort. I would leave that to the brilliant discussions which we anticipate by the doyens and obviously the youngsters who are raring to go and with guns blazing. So let them come up with the technicalities of how zero carbon footprint buildings can't be done in the traditional format or as in the new formats, or what global warming is all about and what can be done for that and all kind of stuff like that. But I would not go into that. I will leave it to the rest of the proceedings to deliberate on that subject. Personally speaking, I have had a great journey. Close to 30 years I've been in this profession now. And mine has been quite a different type of journey which I've taken up. I've done not too many projects, maximum maybe 15 public projects or commercial scale projects, 15, 20, and maybe about 50 reasonably high profile residences. This is what my package is all about. But what I did was, I bought myself a lot of space between the projects. For instance, I was deeply interested in the entirety of a building construction process, right from acquisition of property, right from working the economics of a project. I was deeply involved at that stage. And after designing a project, I would ask the constructor or the promoter, can I work as a construction manager in that project? And I would offer myself so that I could understand what is procurement, I could understand what is project management, all those MS projects tools and stuff like that. And maybe certain project, I would say, let me produce something for this project. In fact, for the Ramada Resort, the entire brick was manufactured by our firm. We developed a machine and then we could come up with the compressed earth block of a particular tonnage and we supplied that. So these kind of forays was always exciting for me because I wanted to get the heart and pulse of an entire construction process and procedures. So that way I was out of that percentage system. So I was not bogged down by, okay, I need to get this much of percentage for this particular project, because I would kick in a certain amount of revenue from various streams, which would buy me the luxury of doing very little projects. And that was my pattern. And for 30, 35 years, I went forward like that. Right now, I have substantially reduced my practice. Now I'm investing majorly into meeting with young people, talking with young people through my stint in one of the departments of architecture, giving them clarity of thought, how to construct an idea, how to really, go flowering in the way that you can develop your thought process, or maybe guide them in their startup ventures and stuff like that. I'm excited about guiding a lot of young minds onto that, and that is my preoccupation. Apart from the other fact that I have picked up a farm, and I do a lot of farming and agriculture there. Anyone who is interested can definitely come over there. We do a little bit of hydroponics. We are getting into aquaponics, and we do some precision farming also there. I'm very much interested in that. Now, let me straight away get into my first stream of thought. See, technology, as I said earlier, applies to both tradition and to both modernity also. So it is nothing new. Only thing is the scale, the complexity, and the sophistication has changed over time. So traditional architecture was a construct of culture, social, religious, and geographical identities, while modern architecture is predominantly driven by economics, technology, marketability, image, and global relevance. You see the paradigm shift that has happened. This is what has happened now. So that is where modern architecture is being led to. So you look at the dictates of modern architecture and you suddenly see that there is an economic dictate, there's a technological dictate, there is a marketability issue. What is the image of my building? And is it a globally relevant, iconic piece? It cannot become anymore a regional approach. This is what, because we have become a very integrated society now. Distances are not anymore a criteria. Information passes at lightning speed. So this is what is happening right now. So that is the change with these two approaches. Now, one of the areas which I'm a little bit concerned, reasonably concerned, is what is actually technology in modern architecture addressing? What is it addressing? We all know that it is addressing creature comfort. It is addressing issues of footprint, carbon footprint, global warming, all of that stuff. Those big terms and those gross realities are there for sure. And every company, every corporation is reasonably addressing all of this issue. But one area which, especially in the Indian subcontinent, which I want to raise is about the cost factor, the economic factor of a construction. Does technology really chip in to bring a certain amount of reasonableness in the economics of a project? Unless the economic engine is driven well, no project is successful. We could do any amount of design, we could win awards. I have had seen classic cases where architects have won IAA awards, gold leaf awards, but the project has collapsed economically. What is our responsibility, in fact? And what is technology's contribution in that? Today, we are looking at an inflation rate in the country close to 7.5 to 10%. 7.5 to 10%. The essential elements that goes into the building construction industry, cement, steel, and the aggregates are going about by 15%. Is it reasonable? We are looking at a bank deposit interest of 5.25%. That is what you get when you put money in the bank. And now we are looking at a housing loan rate of 8.5%. Does it really work well? A person who is earning a lakh of rupees today in this particular country is considered a very high-earning individual. But look at the income tax. After paying for the income tax, after paying for his insurances, after paying for his children's school education, does he have the money to invest 1 crore of rupees for a basic house today? But that is what the cost is. So somewhere there is a mismatch. Somewhere there is an absolute mismatch. See, when you talk about the three essentials for the humanity, it is food, clothing, and shelter. And we are talking about shelter. When you look at food security, they have done pretty well. In fact, they are doing certain substantial progress in the way they are trying to find the issues in that food security chain. For instance, they have understood that productivity, soil conditions, climatic conditions, and the seed quality has to be improved at that point of time. And secondly, they know that transportation and storage issues have to be sorted out so that minimal wastage is done. And thirdly, the supply chain have to be efficient, the commissions at various levels. So they understood the problems at those areas and trying to tackle it. But in the construction industry, are we really doing that exercise? Have we broken this into components of cost and attacked it to bring it down to reasonableness? We need to construct 1,250 rupees a square feet. We cannot afford this 3,500, 4,000 rupees a square feet. It is ridiculous. It doesn't connect with our income. I'm asking all the youngsters over here, are you guys, your income going up year-on-year basis by 15, 20%? If not, you should be worried about it, because the country is moving in that direction. Today, fuel costs have gone up like anything. Who's responsible for that? Nobody seems to be responsible. You're all comfortable. Gas prices has gone up, short. Cement prices, 20%. All of the architects would endorse to that. Steel prices, sand, aggregate prices. So we need to really think about what can technology contribute in reducing costs. How can we come up with more affordable construction, maintaining the quality? So we have challenge number one. Now, so where is our fundamental issue? Is it because that we are a predominantly importing nation? Because for all our energy requirements, are we dependent on 80% imports of coal and stuff like that? I don't know. I haven't really ventured into that thought process. But somewhere the dynamic is not working in this country as far as construction industry is concerned. So we have to give some serious thought to it. So issues like new technologies, like we read about nanotechnology, maybe that is the issue. These things needs to be really coming much more aggressive into construction industry from the technology side. Because I always tell youngsters, you know, when you want to bring in innovation, there are three things that you need to work. And I call it the 3L, which is what I call the lesser, the leaner, the lighter. You design something, you can span this building. If Mr. X has designed 10 beams, can you do it with 2 beams? You're smart. If somebody has done with a section so big, can you do with the 50% reduced section? And somebody has done a beam or a structural element with so much of kg per so much of span, can you do a lighter material? You look at the tennis racket, the evolution of the tennis racket, you will understand. We used to play with the wooden tennis racket, but now that's been replaced by the graphene, which probably is the nanotechnology. You go into the molecule and the atomic level and then tweak there, and you get high, strong materials. So Richard Feynman, if I recollect correct, theorist, Nobel laureate, who said, there's plenty of room in the bottom. What he was saying is you go deeper down into a substance and a material, tweak it there, and you get a different stuff like that. So maybe we need to really work on such cutting-edge technologies into buildings. So these are ground realities. Let us now, so having said, I just sort of introduced one of my greatest concerns as after having had 30 years of experience, is 2 concerns as numbers. I think construction cost is spiraling out of control. And it has absolutely no relationship, connection with our earnings potential. That is the issue now with this in this country. So we need to address that. If not, we would cut a sorry figure and we will lose ourselves in the process. Now I'm going to completely come up with a different 10 minutes or 5 minutes I will spend into a completely different realm. I want to introduce you to these terms tradition and technology or modernism from the historical perspective. Why did it happen? Why did technology come in? When did it come in actually? So you look at, and I'm always fascinated by the European history landscape. That is where I really look to see the evolution of thought. And you look at from the 5th century onwards up to 15th century, a 1000-year period, which we call the medieval ages. There was no information flowing forth anywhere. All the monasteries used to have monopoly of information. Nothing used to go out. And things were standstill. Tradition is always born when things are standstill. There's no dynamicity. There's no dynamic in it. So 1000 years from the 5th century onwards till the advent of the Renaissance and the Reformation, nothing much happened. So there was tradition rootedness happening because change wasn't there. There was absolutely no change, and the printing press yet was not come or discovered or invented. So information not flowing forth. But suddenly after 15th century and in the 17th century, you suddenly see the age of enlightenment come. And man started thinking. He became a thinking person, and parallel along the lines and on the heels of enlightenment came the Industrial Revolution, the first Industrial Revolution. So enlightenment came, man became a thinking person. And what happened? Industrial Revolution started coming, the steam engine came in, and modern architecture was born. Because man started thinking. He broke all shackles, no more stereotypes. And then, when the stereotypes were changed, so what I'm trying to say is tradition, modernity, technology, all as a philosophical takeoff. Understand that. There is always a thought process which is hinged on philosophical journeys, which has triggered this moment. So 17th century, we see that Industrial Revolution, the age of enlightenment, modern architecture. Because man became a very thinking person. He became a rational person. René Descartes, the great philosopher, said, man is a thinking entity, a rational person. And then, because the support of Industrial Revolution and the industries which come up, mass-producible items started coming, and standard formats, standardization, and mass-producible components came into the building industry. So we see that the first introduction of glass, steel and reinforcement happening in the 18th century. That is what technology when started. That was when we really started talking about technology. Glass came into the Crystal Palace. I think the designer was Joseph Paxton. Crystal Palace, the great exhibition. Glass was introduced. Then the Ritz Hotel in Europe, where the steel frameworks were brought in. And in Germany, the reinforced concrete came in the 18th century. And then you see that post 18th century, so that point, because man was very thinking, he was very rational, he wanted geometry, he wanted good forms, he wanted mass producible items, and glass, concrete and steel and all of them started coming out of the factories, and that became the first technological journey. And then as you watch forward, 1950s to the 70s, 80s and all, you see the postmodernist philosophers coming in. They started coming with a different philosophy. We are not just thinking people, we are a feeling people. My feelings are very, very important. I am an individual. I cannot be a mass product. I cannot be categorized with any crowd. So what happened? Because that thinking person became a feeling person. Now architecture started changing. So what happened was, colors started coming in. Stereotypes got broken, all right? So different types of tiles, different types of lighting, different types of, nobody could question anyone's rationale at that point of time. Nobody could question. Because the philosophy also had come in, postmodernist philosophy. In postmodern philosophy, what do you say? I feel good and I do. You have absolutely no right to question me. Same with architecture. Who are you to question me in my style of architecture? I have absolute freedom. So the technology also changed. Now they started offering a whole range of colors, options, and a lot of, the palette was suddenly increased, not purely functional, for aesthetics and stuff like that. That's why if you look at the tile industry, you would be amazed at what's happening. You're spoiled for choices these days, right? I can't do interior design for the simple reason that I don't know how to select. My choices are too much. Recently, I visited two fairs, which were the two food fairs. One was the Gulf Food Fair and the Singapore Food Fair. 3,000 stalls from close to 80 countries. The kind of food and the dishes and the celebration that they're doing, the designs, unbelievable. Does man need all of that? But then again, that is a reflection of our philosophy and our thinking. It's a free world right now. So this journey has happened, and that's where we are. So tradition was rooted in culture, religion, philosophy, and that it stood still over a large concrete face of time, and that became tradition. Today we can't call anything tradition, because suddenly man became thinking, man became a feeling person, and industry started kicking in, mass production started happening, you're able to do technologies, you're able to do a lot of stuff, and suddenly change became the only constant right now. Only constant is change. So you buy a Mercedes Benz, and then you go and ask the guy, you invest 70-75 lakhs, and ask this guy, would you change your grill cover? He says, no, absolutely not. And the next 1 year after later, he would change the grill cover, because the only way is to change, because you induce desirability by changing. So industry now, for the sake of change, they will keep on changing. So this is what is happening. So when change is so rampant and so dynamic, tradition is lost. You can't call anything anymore tradition. Isn't that happening in the family value systems everywhere? It's happening. So that two thoughts I leave with you guys. I hope that has been, I've been of some use in enlightening into these kind of aspects, and we look forward to a wonderful time of debate with the Doyens as well as the young brigade over here. Great guys, thank you so much.
I would now like to call Mr. Deepak Chaudhary, Category Head City Beautification, Havels, for delivering his presentation. A huge round of applause, please.
Questions which were asked. And these were again very interesting, outcome which are there, which I'm going to share in next couple of slides. So these outcomes are going to define, the inputs, and they are going to give direction also in some way to lot of interior architects, landscape architects, or maybe to consultants, so that they can embrace that change and make that workstations, production plants, and all these places still interesting and a place wherein the productivity can be, taken out or it can be extracted. Now, in the first set of questions, it was asked that how many days they would like to come, right? That 2,500 set of full-time employees. So 67%, which means 2/3 of them wanted to have 3 to 4 working days, right? And 16% wanted to have less than 1 or 2 working days. And then there was another 16% set of, employees who wanted to go for more than full-time, that is 4 to 5 days. Now, this is one very interesting aspect, wherein 2/3 of the people want a hybrid kind of a model, 2 to 3 days or 3 to 4 days in office space. And then you have to rekindle that interest, right? Rekindle that fire so that they can be productive, the efficiency can be there, and the companies who are employing them definitely get good results out of them. Now, as I just mentioned, that it was a combination of different, age group, gender, and background. So if we look into this interesting question is about across the industries, how many of they will prefer to have a mix of remote and in-office work. So the sciences was having the highest number of preference for full-time in office. There might be reasons related to their working methodology, modus operandi, or maybe the nature of the work. And if we see for retail and FMCG, right, consumer goods and retail, most of the people wanted to be at home. Normally, it is vice versa. People who are involved in these kind of trade and business practices, they want to be more on field and all. But in this case, it was totally different. So herein they wanted to be at home. So these are very, very interesting outcomes which are there, even though it was for that small set of 2,500 numbers. But yes, these are defining moments right now after post-COVID events which are happening. Now, the offices, as I mentioned, are reopening. Now, what is going to be the driving factor for the employees to come back to office, right? So there were again few parameters which were asked, and the top 2 parameters were about socializing, working in tandem, in person with your team members, and then extracting their thoughts, working out on different, projects, outcomes and that. But the third point is most important one, which is about the focus. The people want to have focus at work, which means in the office space, they think that the concentration lapse would be very less. But when they work at home, yes, there can be a break in concentration, the rhythm can break. And that is why people wanted to come back to office, socializing, having, public relationship, meeting their colleagues in person. And the third point, focus on work, which means still productivity can be extracted if we reopen the offices, which meets their requirement and expectations. So this is the crux in a way. There were a lot of questions which were asked. So this is the crux what we have derived upon when we went through that entire survey done by Gensler, which is a USA-based firm, almost 57 years old in this business. And this is related to Indian workforce, so which is more important, because as we also mentioned that Havels India Limited is having products made in India and made for India. So similarly, this insight will also be helpful in some or other way. So I can also share this report. It is already available on Gensler's website. So here we wanted to understand that what is going to be the driving force when people rejoin office and offices are reopened and we have full-time workforce at these kind of setups. As I mentioned, it is about offices. It is also about manufacturing units. It is also about medical facilities. It can be about a normal sales force, marketing team, supply chain, all of them are involved into this. So this was all about collaborating, learning, adding focus so that they can work in rhythm and can, deliver better outputs. As well as nowadays, health and well-being is also taking center stage, right? Reason being because of different kind of the shifts which are there. So there are certain companies which work in 2 shifts or in 3 shifts, but we have to make sure that they get a conducive environment wherein they can perform, they are relaxed and they are able to work stress-free, still making sure that the expectations are met. Now, again and again I'm talking about stress, then focus and all. So we have to little bit divert from this topic and go little bit into the science. So here we are talking about the circadian rhythm, right? So this is about 24 hours of our day. How we behave, this is all about our behavior, our activities and all. And in this cycle of 24 hours, there are 2 to 3 hours of time period which are very, very prone to errors, and that is between 2 to 4 a.m. in the morning. Many industries, you can just click for a couple of more, yeah. Oh, there are many industries which work 24 hours, right? 2 shift, 3 shift, and that time period between 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. is going to be a period wherein the workers are very, very prone to create or to, wherein they are very prone to errors, or they can do some miscalculation, or they can take bad decisions and all because of disturbance in the, disturbance in what? Disturbance in the circadian rhythm, because that is the time period when we normally have a very deep sleep. But people are working at that time period. So it can be a medical person operating at a hospital, it can be a driver on road, right? Or it can be someone who is working in a production plant. Now, the need of the hour is to create, the working space, which is human-centric, which is giving them a comfortable environment to work, right? And there are a lot of points which we have to take into account, right? There is one, actually there is an issue. If you can just go back to the normal slide and change the picture, because this has just overlapped onto the content. So here what we have is the thermal comfort which is there, visual comfort. We are also talking about air quality, we are talking about noise control, and we are also talking about interaction with the outside environment, right? And as Havels, as we mentioned that we are into lighting, so we can contribute in a very important way in the visual comfort. Now, how visual comfort can be given or it can be addressed, it is with the help of the lighting solutions what we are able to give, right? So here we are talking about human-centric lighting, we are talking about the visual comfort, we are talking about personalization of light. So some people may like, warm white kind of appearance of light, few people may like a neutral white kind of appearance which is similar to moonlight, and some people may like, daylight, which is equivalent to your sunlight. So this is all personalization which can be now done because of LEDs. So that is one aspect which can be addressed in terms of visual comfort by adding personalization of choice of colors. Then we are talking about the circadian rhythm. Now what is circadian rhythm? As I just mentioned, this is the 24 hours of cycle. And what we are able to do is, in order to make sure that whatever is the outside color temperature of a sunlight, so if we keenly observe that there is a sunrise and then there is a sunset, so within that 12 hours or 13 hours of its journey, the sun changes its light output color. The color changes. In the morning it can be a little bit amber, then it goes for cool white, and then again in the evening it is little bit amber, right, warmish. So the same thing can be replicated inside the working environment. So that can work for each and every segment. The third point here we are talking about is daylighting. So the same thing is replicated over here, so that the daylighting, whatever is the color temperature outside, can be replicated inside with help of smartness and technology. So here we are talking about creating, lighting inside the controlled environment. We are talking about how we can add these kind of, personalization, daylighting control, and bringing in the circadian rhythm into the practices. So when we talk about choices of colors, so personalization is also choice of colors. And when we talk about the effect of lighting on certain activities, so an office can be lit up with different kind of color themes. The reception, right, or the breakout zone can be with warm white colors, because it is able to generate different kind of emotions and hormones chemically. Then if we are talking about brainstorming sessions, so it can be with 6500 Kelvin, very bright bluish light, wherein it will entice the emotions which are going to give you more, thoughts which can excite you, and the sleep and everything will vanish in that case. And if we talk about 4000 Kelvin, which is the moonlight, so that can be used for normal workplace, that can be for conference room and all. So this is all due to the flexibility which is offered now by LEDs, color temperatures, dimming possibilities, and also different form factors. So when I was just speaking about the daylight control or bringing the daylight inside, so this is the same way what we are able to do, wherein the hormones react to light and we are able to extract better outcome out of it. Now, IGBC and WELL standards are also getting lot of popularity in the buildings which are getting made. If I talk about IGBC, there are more than 30 to 35 categories. So they are also addressing metro stations, production plants, they are also addressing airports, community halls, or if it is a commercial interior, or if it is a landscape area. So each and everything is now getting covered under IGBC. And then we also have the well standards, wherein we are talking about the public health, well-being of the inhabitants under that lighting, because it is all about artificial lighting, and we are under artificial light for most of our day. As Vidya sir mentioned, almost close to 90,000 hours, right? So, a person works. But if we take into account that how they are deprived from sunlight, and most of the time they are under the influence of artificial lighting. So how we can make it, make it for that loss which is happening because of the deprivation from the sunlight. So LEED and WELL standards are now getting established in lighting industry also, and the benefits of lighting can be passed on to the end user. The end user can be a workforce person working for IT industry, it can be a production unit plant worker, or it can be a driver. So there are a lot of technical terms which are there in front of you. So these are the terms which are in a way compliance based in WELL standards, where we are talking about UGR, which is glare. So if I look directly into a headlight of a car, so for momentary, for few seconds, momentary disability of my eyesight is there. But if I look into a light and if I don't get that disability, so that is where we are talking about the glare rating. We are not able to see the light source. So this is all about product design. Then we are talking about EML, which is equivalent meloponic lux. So what happens in this case is we are talking about the comfort level of a human person, wherein on the vertical plane we measure the lighting levels. So all these things are now getting inserted in the lighting design processes. The lighting designers are also now aware that what they have to follow in terms of practices to comply to WELL standards or not. Then there are a few more things which I will not go into the detail. For example, again we are talking about circadian lighting, we are talking about the lighting control, so dimmability, creating dark and bright spots so that that environment becomes a little bit interesting. A lot of fixtures were there, we have already seen a AV, but a close look that yes, for different areas, we have different unique solutions, the form factors are different, the optics are different, the lighting distribution is also different, so that personalization can be added, the lighting uniformities can be achieved, and with help of the lighting therapy, I normally use this term lighting therapy because we are able to use that therapy or that lighting in terms of healing or well-being, and also activating the hormones. So you can see a lot of creative and innovative designs which are there. So for breakout zones we have different geometrical shapes, hollow hexagon, hollow circle, hollow cylindrical, full-fledged hexagonal shapes and all. So these are also available with acoustic properties, which means when we are talking about noise cancellation, so little bit contribution from the lighting fixtures, because in each and every space inside indoor setup, we will see fixtures all across. It will be present, it will be omnipresent in that way. So there are certain areas wherein we can put acoustic enabled fixtures which can try to avoid the noise and also adding aesthetical value during the daytime. We are also talking about illuminating the ceiling and all, because it is now in a way already established that we have to maintain very good lighting levels on the ceiling, because normally the ceilings are the areas which are neglected, or the walls which are getting neglected. We only focus on the working plane where the person is working. So it can be an architect working on certain designs, it can be a software engineer working on keyboard software. So all those things are now getting added up, wherein we are talking about LG 10 guidelines, we are talking about WELL, we are getting into the work plane uniformity, we are talking about EML. So this is where lighting designer, product designer, everybody comes into the picture by bringing in the best of the lighting therapies. So downlighters, herein we are talking about certain downlighters which are deep recessed, so that you don't see the light source, but still you get very good uniformity. You get very good light power density. Light power density is based out of ASHRAE norms, wherein we talk about the lighting power consumption pattern for a certain application under a particular sample size area. So those things are now part of our day-to-day activity. Then also a lot of studies have been done wherein this daylight harvesting, or maybe so a lot of studies were also done in Western countries wherein they were talking about this light therapy. So if that light therapy is implemented in a school or in a university, the learning rate goes up by 15 to 16%. If it is for healthcare, in that case, if a patient is under that daylight therapy, in that case, the recovery rate is much faster. the emotions are much better. Similarly, for production house people who are working in call centers during the night time, so lighting can act as a soothing experience and creating that atmosphere little bit relaxing for them also. When we talk about outdoor, so outdoor also is very, very important, because we are here talking about dark sky norms, that there should be no upward light pollution, there should be no light going beyond your premises. Then we are also talking about renewable sources of energy, so solar based products are also there. And again, color tunability. So color tunability is going to be the way forward, which we think. Apart from this, adding dimmability options and CCT change. So this is going to be the trend forward, which will make the indoor spaces, interior spaces much more relaxing, much more welcoming for the workforce which is going to join back after the post-pandemic season. So thank you very much for your time. Thanks a lot.
Good evening. See, when I was told about this topic, modern and tradition, that seems to be a good a topic, because it's a journey. We've had many kind of styles in architecture. Modernism is only one of the few, the last kind of style that we adhere to. And we had postmodernism. And historically, if you go back, there are a lot of movements, Renaissance, or classical architecture, all this. So this is only, we are just talking about only 2 points, 2 junctions. And I find it's quite a journey, especially for the nature. And everyone started talking about, global warming. Global warming is a fact. Only we recently started agreeing to it. And industries, they were quite sharp. They could actually smell the whole, idea and get into the market, like the green leads certification. They called it green, and LEED certification, which is one of the most expensive green building. If you want to live a sustainable life, you have to spend more than five times than you should spend for a common, small, affordable building. George Mathai, he was mentioning about this point. He was talking about, he didn't mention much about sustainability, but affordability. Sustainability has to be affordable. Otherwise, it is not sustainable. In India, we have, now a lot of people are just coming up, green certification, Griha, and they actually are coming forward with ideas and sort of rubber stamp. If you want to do a building, you have to build this way. You have to use this material. You have to use this light. I'm not blaming your lighting companies, but that is the kind of trend, and we are, as architects, are sort of driven into that kind of channel. Green means only that, but we should always, think about the industrial revolution, from where everything started. We started using coal. We started using, fossil fuel, and we slowly started building up this greenhouse gas over the planet. And scientists they knew that this is happening, because we have really good scientific surveillance, and they told the scientific world But unfortunately, what happened is that the political world, they just played it differently. And now we know that it's a difficult condition. You all know that now, we all know about it. We are all started talking about it. So sustainability has become a major important area, especially for buildings. Around 30% of the global warming is caused by building industry. So I'm not going to talk and put you into all that kind of long speech, but I'll just go in to take you through a couple of data. 5 major extinctions happened, all what we know, and we are going to see the sixth extinction. That's what the scientists, predict. Before the industrial revolution, nature decided how we should survive. I'll take you through this faster way. Now we decide how the nature should survive. It's only just bullet points for you to just sort of think over. These are all well-spoken, well-published stuff, which is just not something new, but I just put it, I wanted to try modernism and tradition. Today, about 96% of all the mammals in our planet are human. Today, 70% of all the birds in our planet are domesticated, maybe chicken. So it's a hostile planet, it's becoming a hostile planet. So it's not about houses or buildings, it's all about a pattern of development. We should actually think about the whole holistic approach to, hurting nature. That's what we should think of. CO2 emissions is quite clear. So by 2050, we expect, that we are going to have 50% of the population as rural and 50% of the population as urban. So it's related to carbon emissions. So carbon emission is going to really disturb the whole system. So it's a very famous cover story of National Geography. Call it Enough Talk About Climate Change. The climate issue, let's fix it. Weather gone, just taking few important, authentic data. I'm not going to interpret it. So we have lots of pledges happening, each country is coming forward saying that we'll reduce the carbon, but nothing is happening. It's not as promised. About global warming, I think this is one of the most important, very self-explanatory small animation. So it's not the animation, it's not there. Yeah, actually the red line is going to come up to that, and it's going to affect many coastal cities and coastal areas. See, you can see Gir in Gujarat is going to be separated. It's going to become an island. And in Bangladesh, see how it is going to affect Bengal. Maldives, in another 50 years, they'll have to find some other place to live. Water. This is the quantity of water that we have in the planet. Total quantity of water. It's not drinking water, but this is the total quantity of water. So this is just a, see, if you take the entire water, graphically you can see that it's only this much. How much water is there in the earth? If you ask someone, what will be the answer? Usually it will be, we have what? How much? Yes? No, this is it. It's a pan. It's just a pan where the water is very, very shallow pan. So if you put all the water in the planet, it's only that much. It can't certainly be 70%, 50%. It can't be even be 10% of the total volume, right? So what will happen if the temperature rise and if the water escape our planet? It's not likely if we are all careful about it. Yeah, that's it. So when the planet becomes hotter, it will be a challenge to maintain the level. Simple as that. It shouldn't happen. Yeah, concrete is responsible for 4 to 8% of the world's carbon dioxide emissions. 1 kilogram of cement requires 1 kilogram of carbon. It emits 1 kilogram of carbon. You can easily remember it, right? We should all have just an idea whenever you are using concrete. 1 kilogram of steel takes about 1 kilogram of. So I'm not saying that I'm not against using concrete or steel. I use it a lot. I use steel, I use cement, but we have to use it wherever it's required. We have to find out. So the whole everything will converge to a point. What I can say is that tradition and modernism. So we are talking about modernism. We have been abusing a lot of resources. We didn't know the implications of this kind of heavy usage in the impact that it makes on our planet. So if somebody asks you, is there a possibility of making a sustainable building? Somebody will take you, okay, you can go to Green Building Congress, IGBC, and say, I'm not against IGBC. There are a lot of ways of achieving sustainability. You can use IGBC, you can use Griha, you can use LEED, whoever wants. But how many percentage of, what is the percentage of population it can serve? Only Ambanis and Adanis can afford platinum buildings, or maybe about 10% maximum. So what we want is solutions which are affordable, sustainable solutions which are affordable. And that is where I'm going to link it to our history, to our tradition. So tradition, till industrial revolution, till about 50 years, till we started abusing concrete and steel and all that, all our buildings were green, absolutely green. It was awfully green. So there is no shortage of technologies. So now we know to build a wall, to build a foundation, only starting with concrete, PCC and concrete. Some people will make foundations, when it is not required. I don't say if it is required, you can use that. So we have all the technologies, especially for cooling. We used to use techniques, traditional techniques, by using passive cooling. We had the traditional systems of cooling where we didn't have to use air conditioners. We used to use natural lighting for interior purposes. I mean, lighting of the interior purposes also. So I'm saying that we can have a proper mix of all this, absolute mix of the right kind of. You can pick up from the tradition, pick it up from modern, put it rightly, stitch it together well, So it actually becomes, it can become something wonderful. So this is it. So there is a lot of solutions for sustainability from the tradition and technology, modern technology it offers. George Mattei was talking about graphene. 1 ounce of graphene can give you a roof of 2 acres of property. But this is only in the theory stage. It's not come out. So you take the size of a hair, graphene of that size, and you can hang a grand piano. Okay, that kind of a beautiful material. It's synthetic, but I don't mind. If I get it, I'll use it heavily because it's a wonderful material. So modern technologies also offer better materials. The technology is to optimize, and as I said, if you make a building lighter, it's naturally going to be cost effective, affordable. Because naturally you're going to, if the roof is lighter, you need only a wall which is not very strong. We just need only very lighter kind of supports to hold a lighter roof. And if you have a lighter roof and a lighter wall, you need only lighter foundation. So all this can add up. If you put it together properly, you will know that the lighter the buildings you make, it's wonderful. It becomes affordable, sustainable. That's it. So I'm not going further. So it is given to the panelists too for discussion. I hope I didn't take too much of time.
Let us begin with the presentations from our doyens panel, the esteemed guests that have been waiting for very long, as they frame their take on this debate between tradition and technology. Please welcome, to kick this off, Mr. Jaygopal Rao, co-founder, head of designs at Inspiration Collective, with a huge round of applause.
I think I have to make it very brief, 3 minutes. I'll just run through some of our works, and in that process, I'll try to say where we're coming from. Quite a lot of work, that is around 15% of our work will be adaptive restoration. So, taking off from Eugene, green is our basic philosophy, to be green, and it's been a lot taken off from my mentor, Laurie Baker. So we have tried to, at that point of time itself, Laurie was saying that much before the whole hype of global warming came up, he was much conscious. So we all imbibed those concepts, and we try to be as light and as less harmful on the environment as is possible. So one of the methods we thought of how to make it happen is to go for adaptive restoration. There is a lot of building stock in our country which can be made to good use and which has still good potential to live on. And so this is one way to continue continue the green concepts. So it's not a question of tradition and technology, but it's the emphasis, and the most important emphasis for the present is to go as green as possible and make our building footprint as minimum as possible, our carbon emission as minimum as possible, and I think that is where the future is. So adaptive restoration, we have done fairly high-end buildings. We also do practical, affordable buildings, as George Mathai was saying earlier. We have varied approaches, technologies to make buildings really excellent and at the same time affordable. Another approach that we've been, and again imbibed by Glory, is that to reduce transportation of material over long distances. That is especially the bulk materials. So the bulk material that go into a building, the roof, the walls, perhaps the foundations. So here we try to make as much use of local materials for the bulk as much as is possible. So, and that reduces the embodied energy of the building and reduce your energy consumption of the building, and combine that with water management and such other concepts. This, I am sure people in Cochin are familiar with this building. I move forward. Again, taking off from the making use of the local material and reduce transportation of bulk raw materials. This is a project that we recently completed in Ladakh, in Leh, which where we have used local mud and local, that is stabilized earth and stone, and poplar and willow is a local timber. We combined it together to make, with sparing use of RCC, sparing use of cement, sparing use of glass. We have combined to come up with a fairly interesting project. This is the interior, so that same building, again making use of mud and stone and such kind of things. This, of course, is another project which has brought us a lot of accolades. It's for the CGH group, where we have dug up the local laterite and made use of the same local laterite to build the whole building. And we made use of, again, the local laterite for varied purposes. We did rainwater harvesting, we have solar power, so it makes it, so it's a, again, I wouldn't call it, it's contemporary in its own way. It's a whole approach also is contemporary. It's not that it's a tradition, or it's, you can say, vernacular. Contemporary is the approach that I would go forward. Again, making use of a lot of craft with contrasts. Again, local materials like thatch and local coconut wood also became the roof. Again, recycling of material is another thing that we have done a lot. Old timber, again laterite. This building uses a lot of stone. We dug up a quarry, and the quarry became rainwater harvesting lake, and the stone we used for building the building. This all within a vicinity of less than a kilometer, all this. So it's absolutely local in its bulk materials. I'm speaking about bulk raw materials. This is another project where we used a lot of bamboo. It's our own earlier office. Almost 30 to 40% of the bamboo in this place was from that premises itself. So we cut the bamboo, treated the bamboo, and made the bamboo made use of bamboo for the building, the bulk material that went into the construction. But yet contemporary in application, and it doesn't use air conditioners much. we worked with another group, another NGO, who actually, that's based out of a place called Kudal, that is in Maharashtra. They help the local farmers to grow bamboo, and they've helped thousands of farmers to grow bamboo, and they source these bamboo, selectively fell these bamboos, and they treat this bamboo, and then they find a market for the farmers for varied uses like furniture, and we also introduce them into buildings, and now they are doing world-class buildings with bamboo. This is not our design. I'm not claiming that this is my design. It's a design from an Indonesian architect, but we helped the Indian building group to actually execute it. This is in Maldives. This is our own building where we used a lot of bamboo. This is one of the biggest large span bamboo structures that we have done in Hyderabad. Again, that is where we actually directly participated with this team. We are not shying away from multi-storied buildings either. So we recently have been asked to do 1 or 2 townships, green townships. So we can go for high rises in certain contexts if you are able to, if you reduce number of cars, then high rises have a if you are to reduce urban sprawl, high rises may have certain contextual relevance. So we can make use of high rises, but with character, and again trying to make it as green as is possible. Sometimes with some cladding, sometimes with gardens. And further moving on, what I would suggest for us to go forward is to go for timber constructions, especially CLT wood, that is cross-laminated wood. I'm sure you would have heard of cross-laminated wood and laminated wood. This is something that we can actually grow. We used to have beautiful forests, and we cut those forests, and actually if we are able to regrow forests in the next 15 years, we can get a lot of timber back, and then we can have, as Eugene and George Mata were saying, we can have cross-laminated timber which is stronger than steel, and which can actually go for large span buildings, and which can go for high rises too. And there are a number of, this is a CLT wood high rise building in England, and there are a number of CLT wood high rises and large span buildings coming around the world. But here again, right now the cross-laminated timber industry is all concentrated in Canada and Norway and such places. But there is nothing stopping us having a cross-laminated timber industry coming up in India, in Kerala, and if we are able to, and there is technology including, you can extrude bamboo fibers and then hard press it with resin, and we can have excellent high strength material, and that is scientifically, I've got a number of people who have actually done it. These are all materials for the future, and we can have solutions for our these. When you grow timber, it also absorbs carbon dioxide, and it consolidates that into building material, and we have the building material which we need. So this is another approach that we can look forward for the future. So I start off talking about earlier some of our works, and then would just say what we would aspire for. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jayagopal, for sharing your work and your insights with us. Next, I would like to welcome Mr. Jose K. Matthew, Principal Architect, JKM Design. A huge round of applause for him.
Good evening, friends. I consider myself to be very lucky to be practicing in Kerala, because Kerala is a tropical place where we have a lot of freedom to design. And I will be talking in the Kerala context because I am born, brought up, educated, and I am practicing in Kerala for the past 46 years. What is so unique about Kerala? We have a very, very unique ecosystem. And Kerala, the name reflects on Keram, which is coconut. The climate is tropical, and that's the unique features of Kerala, where we have about 500 kilometers long beach line. We have 44 rivers of backwater. The lowland, the land below the sea, we have the marshy land, paddy field. The midland, agricultural land. Then high altitude land, dense forest with wildlife. And most of this has to be preserved and conserved because it's very unique. And if you look at the nature of topography, the only area we are supposed to develop is the midland, because the lowland and the dense forest has to be preserved. And in fact, that's the way it has developed. If you go to the highland or the forest land, the density of population is very low. Even on the backwaters, the density is low. These are some of the visuals of Kerala. Now, this is about the population, density of population in India compared to Kerala and other major cities in the world. If you look at India, the average population is only about 360 persons per square kilometers. And Kerala is more than double. The density is higher, and we have a lot of land to be preserved and conserved. And if you look at the major cities like Singapore, Tokyo, and New York, the population is much more higher. So the basic problem in Kerala is that we have a denser population and we have a land that has to be conserved. So how do we go about it? And we have very limited land, that's the midland where we can develop. And we have that green belt and green, if you look from a flight at Kerala, you see all green. And if you look at the density of population, it's only about 860 compared to the foreign cities, although it is double that of India. So we can't afford to go horizontal growth because we will destroy everything we have. We can go only vertical. And what height? The height is very important because we have the coconuts. It should be below the coconuts. The height should not extend beyond the coconut trees. We can go up to 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 floors. Beyond that, we are killing. And we can't use the lowland, we can use the highland. Some visuals of the leading cities of the world. This is what we should have. We should not go beyond 5 or 6 or 7 floors, which is below the coconut trees. Though these are two most important resources in the planet, which we are mostly destroying, polluting, and misusing. For the survival of all the living organisms in the planet, this is very important. Water and air. Now going back to tradition, I told you earlier I am talking in terms of the Kerala context. If you look on the left-hand side, you can see the traditional way of using water, Kindi and Monda. And look at the technology which we are using now, the wash basins. Because if you look at the Kindi and Monda, there is an audit of water. The measure is clear there. You can't use more than that. If you look at the wash basin, you can just open the tap and waste all the water, and the expense of water coming to that wash basin is very high. Whereas in the Kindi and Monda, the water is very limited. And what we use through the Kindi and Monda or through the wash basin, it's a handful. Because that's the water that is going into your mouth, not more than beyond that. So just imagine the quantity of water we are wasting, and that too pumping it up from the source of water through electric motors, using electricity, using pipes, taking it up to the tank, then using it and wasting it. So it's a very serious concern. Now this is another issue. Two ways of bathing, but here it's just the reverse. If you use a shower, you are using less water. But if you use a bucket of water on your head, you are wasting a lot of water. So it doesn't say tradition is good or modern is bad. It's for us to think and do the development. Again, see the power that we are getting through the electricity, it's very expensive. And traditionally we used to have that kerosene lamps. And if you should have dams, we should have the transmission lines to get the electricity here, and we are wasting a lot of it. To transmission also we are losing a lot of it. Now that is again a traditional Nalugata, and that's a modern building. We cannot say tradition is good or modern is bad. It's up to us, the designers, to think and do. See, as designers, as architects, we should know basically about the Milky Way. We should know about the solar system. We should know about the effect of the solar system on the planet. And the planet, about the planet, if you build a building in a 10 cents of land in Kerala, or have 10 acres of land in Kerala, you should know all these. Or whether you build a Nalugata in Kerala, or can you do the same thing in Iceland? You can't. So the architect should be sensitive enough and have the knowledge before you draw a single line about what is the effect of all this system on what we are going to create. That's again a traditional Ambalakulam, and we have a swimming pool. For the Ambalakulam, it's naturally filtered, whereas for a swimming pool, we need a lot of power and filter. These are just examples. That's again, in the olden days, we couldn't go high rise because there was no lift. The maximum we could go was 3 floors. But now, with the power and technology, we can go higher. If we have to prevent soil erosion or landslide, the volume of water that is going to leave the developed plot should be the same as that has been before we did the development. So we should be able to limit the water, store the water there in the same place where we have developing, and should be the same as that has been happening before. So it's a responsibility of each and every one of us, the architects, to preserve our own land, climate and technology. Thank you.
How nuanced an understanding of the debate, Mr. Jose. Thank you. And I would now like to call upon stage Mr. Matthew Joseph, Principal Architect, Matthew and Sarah Architects, to take it away. Please welcome him with a huge round of applause.
Out of the subject which I wanted to talk to you now, I just wanted to comment on the previous speakers. George actually said about the cost factor. When we started the practice in Kochi, the square foot construction cost was around 120 to 130 rupees per square foot in an ordinary building. Now it has gone up to 3,000. Where do we stand within the span of 35 years? Professor Eugene said, a sustainability It has to come. Like, a common man may not be able to live in a 100% sustainable building, whereas he can live a sustainable living. As Josh commented, the green patch of our small state, it has to be kept even from a drone's point of view by keeping the height of the buildings lower, a mid-rise building like 6 to 7, less than the height of a coconut tree. Now coming to my subject, tradition versus technology. Normally, our lifestyle brings in activities. The activities need space. The space are to be designed by designers, architects, interior designers, using the technology without losing traditions. That is my point. Both are different, debatable subjects, but we can still use the technology without losing the traditional practices of an area, a region, a country. A traditional lifestyle was like this. It's self-contained in large spaces, farms with population farms, and then because of the population growth, land availability is lessened, more dependency on others and industries, bulk production, more shopping and all. I am taking it to a building which is in Melbourne, is Burwood Bricks Shopping Centre, Melbourne, because the affirmation was given for shopping building. For my talk of 3 minutes, I may take 4 minutes sometimes. As per the Architects Institute of Australia, AIS says, Burwood Bricks is the first retail center in the world that is aiming to achieve full living building challenge certification, commonly understood as the world's most rigorous proven performance standard for the built environment. It's a living building challenge for the team who has constructed it, using all sustainable materials to live and breathe. They have reused the outcomes of the living building. I will come to that in later stages, later slides. It was a difficult task for them. And to be recycled or reusable on reduced consumption to achieve that goal. It's a small building when looking at the height, but it's a huge building with a basement car park and 2 floors. Ground floor having full retail outlets, and first floor partially covered, and then partial first floor is urban farming with a farmhouse restaurant. This is an entry from the car park where you can see the feel of woods, creating a natural environment which stimulates a sense of activation, touch, smell and feel, and they call it earth entry. Coming up to a florist, then you see no waste is wasted, everything is segregated. It's a layout plan by hand done by one of the team members. The north light is captured, Australia being a country where light is less at occasions. You see the right hand side, that particular wall that is made of wine bottle corks, which is widely used in Australia. The wine bottles are everywhere where you see wine bottles are there. This is a piece of pier on terrace floor. The pier is taken from a wrecked ship, and then this floor, a demolished building, small chips have been taken and then put it together and polished well. This you see the originals, hand artwork on the ceiling, which explains the culture of that particular area. A living, breathing building for a living, breathing planet. I was fascinated with this building just because this is giving us some idea, giving us some thoughts. A building is always, it's a life, it has got life. It is not dead. People come there, see it, and then it will impart so many ideas, so many thought process. This is the wood used there on the piers and the ceiling was brought from a demolished boardwalk. They got it from New South Wales and put it together there. Then it's a commercial building, I told you, it needs support. The supports, the neighboring support. They have constructed the apartments also along with that. This is an eat corner between the shops and the residential area. So they are mingling it, their culture, their lifestyle, activities. That area is fully self-contained. 2.5 hectares of open space for commercial and residential is a breathing space for all. This I just catch because of my personal interest. A simple chair. The tanks are under the car park. Underground large tanks are there. Recycling tanks, storage tanks, rainwater storage, and so many. If I want to explain about this building, it may take an hour. Now another entry is water entry. That is from the ground. This is how they have depicted the water entry, because the water is important. People should know, understand. They should not waste water. Even their outlets have been selected in such a way that in the products they give is also green, a green rated seafood. Australian Marine Council certificate good fish products are there. Space for all, even children. Even I was surprised with seeing the way they have built the lift. No toxic materials are used there. It was a lesson for me. No CFC material, halogen-free electrical cabling, and lead and cadmium-free finishes, paints, even electrical components and devices free from PCBs, polychlorinated biphenyls, and lighting, LED, non-toxic and mercury-free lighting. And lastly, they have written, enjoy your ride. So they've got medicals and a healthcare gym and even a cinema theater with 5 screens. It's a large area. There is a small mistake in the write-up. Actually, it is 4 lakh square feet building cover. It has got a farmhouse restaurant. Herbs, fruits, vegetables for the restaurant, for the farm comes from their own farm. And it is fed by natural fertilizers, recycled organic waste from the restaurant. This is a layout on the terrace. Is the entry to the farm, the entry to the farmhouse restaurant. Then the fruits, herbs and plants are grown on the terrace. Again explains the same. Herbs and plants are then again grown in large areas. Water, sun, fertilizers, harvest. There is a worm farm. What they grow there, it's all there. Vegetables and even quail coop is there. Then chicken. Look at the farmers. There is a farmer, I told you, it's a farmer's house. He's a full-time farmer. Hydroponics. Even trees. Worms, worm house. There is no red. That means all green. A building without red list materials like alkyl, phenol, arsenic, asbestos, BPA, cadmium, chlorofluorocarbons, PVC, formaldehyde, lead, mercury, etc. This is a building which has won awards, many awards in 2021, a new building, including Lancome Award for Best Sustainable Development New Buildings. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that brilliant project with us, Mr. Matthew. Mr. T.S., if I could have you on stage.
Good evening, one and all. I am Aditya. I take care of sales and application engineering in Fundamax. We are an Austrian MNC. We value nature. We want to be in harmony with nature, and we respect it. We have products which are made out of paper, which are certified with FESC and PEFC certification. So we ensure that before we use a tree, we raise 2 more trees and they raise up to a certain height. The 100% procurement is from regional forestry, and 80% of energy is from biomass. 30% carbon dioxide emissions have been reduced since 2005, and 1,47,000 units of district housing was able to be used by regeneration of the heat energy which is produced from our factories. It is a 130-year-old company, to be more precise, 132-year-old company. Our head office is in Vienna in Austria. We have our manufacturing plant in Vienna. We are in the verge of starting up a plant in India, and probably by next year mid. So our head office is in Bangalore in India, and we have executed more than 15,000 projects in the last 15 years and still counting. In Kerala, we have executed close to 500 projects, and we have more than 32,000 SKUs. We are a complete system provider. We are not just into panel manufacturing. We do complete substructure as well. We design the brackets. We have the dead load, wind load brackets. We design the sections, and we adapt a principle called rear ventilated facade system. So the main purpose of a rear ventilated facade system is that it increases the energy efficiency of a building and improves the thermal comfort inside the building. We have a network of 64 authorized channel partners all across India, and they are the ones who execute projects for us. So we do not trade materials because we understand the importance of delivering a project successfully. As most of the architects have mentioned in the earlier presentations, it's very important to have a sustainable environment, and it is important to reduce the carbon footprint. So we ensure that we follow principles of rain screen facade as well, and we use also fire rated panels, which are either in the category of flame retardant panels or non-combustible panels. It's a specification driven product, so we are in touch with most of the architects, and most of the architects and consultants who are present today in the podium have used Fundamax probably recently or in the past. So we also have a very big warehouse in Bangalore where we stock close to 50,000 square meters so that there's no issue of availability of decors and SKUs. Our major aim is to deliver iconic projects all across India, and we have wide variety of applications and wide variety of products. So let's have a look at that. One of our major products in India is compact exterior, which is a high pressure laminate. It is made up of paper and resin. It is made up of 65% paper and 35% resin. It is as per European norms, and it's a flame retardant product. You can get different surfaces. You can get matte finish. You can get a mirror-like glossy finish. You can get an undulated surface, which can be used for, which gives you a feel of a natural stone as well. So the panels have some unique features. They're extremely weather resistant. They can withstand any kind of UV and weathering. In fact, one of our oldest projects was done in 1972, and we have a third-party certification stating that even after 33 years of continuous exposure to rainfall, climate change, harsh weather conditions, it is still intact and is within the permissible grayscale limit. It can withstand any temperature from -80 to +180 degrees centigrade, impact resistant, and it's flame retardant. Depending on the wind load, the architect's design, if they say even 4 kPa, we have the solutions, we have the system which can ensure that the facade remains intact over a long period of time. We have lot of design degree freedom, so probably that we'll be able to see it in the forthcoming slides when I project some of the project pictures. It is scratch resistant, it's anti-graffiti, and it's easy to install and easy to clean. It has an reflecting electrostatic surface which does not allow any kind of dust to sit on a vertical surface. Unless it's inclined or horizontal, obviously there is a possibility of dust settlement, so you don't have to really, when it comes to glass and other materials, you see someone maintaining it and cleaning it periodically. In Fundamax, just with natural rainfall or with a jet of water, it can cleanse by itself, so you don't have any other maintenance issues. So coming to one basic important point, I'll not go into the physical parameters and other things, but there are two important things which are important to select any cladding material in the facade. One thing is its resistance towards UV and weathering. So there are some standards here. So if we launch a shade in exterior, it has to undergo a test for 3000 hours for artificial weathering and 1500 hours for ultraviolet resistance. So every decor has to undergo a test for 6.5 months before it is launched, order of 10 power minus 6. We have also launched this new panel called M-Look. As we have seen in the AV that change is constant, and we understand the importance of being into the category of fire resistant facades. So we have launched this product which has a fiber mineral core. It is made up of glass fiber flea. So this product is completely non-combustible. If used with the right kind of substructure which has fire stops at the right places wherever there are openings in the dead wall, this product can ensure that in case of fire accident, the fire does not spread from one cavity to another. So this is around 7 mm thick, and it can be used for all kinds of exterior facade applications as well as near the walkways, near the evacuation areas where you want to clad something. This is the right product for it. So you can see here the core is gray in color because of its fiber mineral content. We are also into interior segment. So as you can see, we generate a lot of energy using our biomass. So we have interior products which are, we have melamine face chipboards, we have homogen chipboards, we have biofaser, which is again based out of wood particles which are generally generated when you cut wood. Those small strips of wood, whatever is present while cutting, those can be compacted and you can also form a panel. So we try to utilize even to the last, component of the tree when it comes to utilization of creating a product. So you can see here, we can do modular kitchens. We can use it for the carcass areas where we have an MDF and MFC panels which come with a pre-laminated board. We can also have shutter panels which can be integrated with the carcass, and we also have tabletops which have high scratch resistance, which can be used for dry as wet modular kitchens. Coming to some interesting other applications, we also have something called RE2, which is called max resistance. Especially in pharma companies where they do the testing, or chemistry labs where you have high concentrated pH levels of sulfuric acid, HCl and other various acids which are present. So this is completely resistant towards it. It comes in 16 mm thick. We also use 6 mm thick panels for humidity panels as well. So coming to the applications, to make it little quick and easy, you can see here this is a double skin facade. The panels can be perforated. Depending on the level of perforation, we can design and establish the thickness of the panel. So here we have glass inside, which is a double glazed unit, and you have a double skin facade with perforations, with a unique perforation of leaves in it. This is a project in Lucknow. This is a school in Kottayam. It's called Choice School. You can see here, we have used 8 mm panels with perforations. Generally, when you have perforated panel, the major problem is that you see those ugly profiles behind. So we have made the profiles as a design part of the complete cladding system. And this is also acts as a railing. You can see here behind it there's a parapet wall where kids generally can jump over it. At times we have seen unfortunate accidents. So this acts as a safety grill as well, and it can withstand a wind load of almost 2.8 kPa. And this is again an interesting project. It's in Ahmedabad. It's called Ahmedabad University, where you can see here the complete set of lures. Every set of lures have around 6 to 8 lures with them, every band, and they are manually operatable. So you can operate from inside. We can also automate it if required, so that you can have visual light transmission inside, as well as you can control your heat down. And at the same time, if you operate it correctly and then if you close it, then not even a single drop of water can enter in. So we can make a system based on the requirement and design intent of the architect. This is an interesting project in Vizag. It looks like, it doesn't look like an IT building, but unfortunately it's an IT building. So here you can see panels projecting out. The center one is little inside, the other one is projecting 6 inches. and the top and the bottom row is projecting 8 inches, and there's a cove lighting inside. It gives a very subtle look. So this is with a dark color concrete finish in Fundamax. Even the canopy and everything is done with Fundamax. So somehow they have made a study also to understand what is the thermal comfort inside the building, and we could calculate that there's almost 18% additional energy saving because of this rear ventilated facade system. This is a school building in Bangalore. You can see here the curved area is done with Fundamax. You can bend the panel if the radius is more than 3 meters. And if it's less than 3 meters, we also have solutions for it. And there's a profiling done on the top, which also integrates with the design of the panel, which is done very nicely, and it gives a different kind of elegance to this building. And this is a project in a small city called Vijayawada. It's in Andhra Pradesh, where the panels are suspended on stainless steel ropes. You have a 700 mm by 700 mm panel, which are perforated, and they keep moving along with respect to the wind speed. So you can see there are single panels, there are couples, there are panels which are 3 in number, which are connected to each other. So these keep oscillating based on the wind velocity. So it gives a kind of a kinetic facade where you don't have to use any artificial resource of energy, but you can just use the wind energy to make it oscillate, and it is dynamic in nature. So we can do something of this sort, and this was done almost 8 years back, and there was not even a single period where we had to apply tension in the wire and strengthen it again, because it was done with precision.
Mr. Aditya, sorry to interrupt like this, we are running really late. So
Okay, I'll just wind it up in 1 minute.
Thank you.
Yeah. So this is Novotel in Cochin. We have done the facade, and these are lower projects. We can do multiple lowers with inclination of angles. These are some residential projects. This is a convention center with cladding and ceiling, and that is the night view. If there are any questions, we can connect at our stall. We'll be there, and have a nice evening, gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Aditya. Great. And now for the Doyen's panel discussion finally. A debate sure to fuel many conversations. I would like to call upon stage the esteemed members of our panel, Mr. Jayagopal Rao, Mr. Jose K. Matthew, Mr. Matthew Joseph, Mr. Vidyashankar Krishna, and last but not least, our esteemed moderator, Mr. Eugene Pandala. Please give them a thunderous round of applause.
I know that it's going to get, it's quite some time that we have been seeing a lot of things. So maybe we'll try to get back, and as Mr. Jose K. Matthew suggested, that we'll give time to the audience. If you have any questions, you can really come with it. So after that, we'll take it over. I'll just start provoking, our speakers. It's Jayagopal. You've seen his wonderful work with bamboo and all sustainable. We're all in the same, traveling the same boat, different direction. So Jayagopal, you have seen his wonderful work, that is what explains the whole thing. Beautiful work with bamboo and a lot of everything is, most of the things that he do is sustainable. And he was actually right from the beginning onto it after Baker. After Laurie Baker's, he got his basic training from Baker, or seeing his work is, right. It was a great inspiration. So the kind of work I saw, this restoration and retrofitting and all that kind of thing, though he didn't call it, it's one of the, fundamental area that we consider as sustainable. Reduce, reuse, restore. So that means like you have to use all our resources. You have to use whatever you have used earlier. If you have a building, don't try to demolish it off. There are ways to make it beautiful, like what he has done. And it becomes a more meaningful building than what we can do right now. Don't you think so? Yeah, I think when you restore a building, restore and retrofit it, making it livable, a old structure, so it can be more beautiful than a conventional building. There's no doubt about it. Yeah.
Restoring a building, actually, some of the restoration projects that we have done, the buildings often are reasonable good conditions, and you just need to do some essentially it will be timber which would have given way here and there, or some rodents would have come and attacked it, or there would have been rain seepage somewhere and that would have spoiled the wood at some places. So you have to replace the wood, and you may have to replace some tiles here and there, and give a better finish, and the cost involved will be very, very minimal, and you can bring the building back to its original condition, and then we can make use of the building in a contemporary applications, for all contemporary applications. Like, it need not go by what use it originally was, but that is where our own ingenuity and our own creativity comes up, and we can at places make use of some modern materials, here and there a bit of glass and a bit of better toilets and all such kind of things can bring in a better lighting. All that can enhance the quality of those spaces.
Yeah. See, Mr. Vidya Shankar, so he was talking about lighting. I was very much impressed by various developments in that lighting field. And lighting has become very affordable now. Lighting means energy, efficiency of lamps, efficiency of almost all the electrical appliances. They're coming up, but light, especially in terms of lumens of energy it delivers, lighting is developing so pretty well, and like for areas of color temperature, which is very important for me. Color temperature is very important because I hate certain spaces because of the color temperature of that space. Color temperature is really, really important. Then I feel that wherever it's possible to get natural light, we have to use it, we have to combine it and use it. That's what I love to do it. Like, there are a lot of ancient systems of putting up skylights and all that. But skylights will also add in heat. So that's a problem. So what is the best way? So we put a panel outside, a solar panel outside, and bring in the power inside. So when the sunlight is, a lot of nice solutions are happening, and you have that that fan which works and ventilates during daytime. Yeah. So.
No, you are absolutely right. Energy conservation, I think, is one of the prime objectives in the last decade, which has driven the lighting industry. So I did mention in my initial address that when the technology moved from the conventional lighting to LED lighting, one of the biggest triggers was the lesser or the lower energy consumption with the LEDs. We could save almost about 80% to 90% of energy when I moved from a halogen bulb to an LED. That was a kind of energy saving which was so significant. It immediately resonated with people because it could save so much of power, and thereby it became cost effective.
Yeah, some of the points which I wish that could be there was like your traditional, amalgamating the tradition with the new, the kind of modern, or what you call it, modern.
Yeah.
So I think it's happening. You find some interesting,
It is.
simulating some tungsten halogen, sorry, not halogen, tungsten filament. That kind of thing is also happening. Anyway, I think that because we don't have time,
No, please.
yeah, I could move to. So, Jose K. Matthew, he's been doing wonderful work, and he raised a lot of very thoughtful questions. One is which I also am concerned about, is high-rise buildings. High-rise buildings. So he says, why not we allow high-rise buildings? In fact, I was totally against high-rise buildings. I wanted something which is so blending with nature. Of course, what is a good building? If somebody asked me, I would say that a good building is a building which is appreciated by the nature around it, the biodiversity and the nature. If they are all agreeable to your building that you put up, you have done a good job. If we humans go and say, wow, your building is good, it doesn't make sense. Well, there are a lot of multi-million living organisms that depends on the vegetation, the trees and everything. We don't know what it is. And what I've been seeing is that, you people make buildings, they make bungalows. When you're talking about low-rise, they build up sprawling bungalows, and what they do is just, they are very much, sort of, they hate water when it rains. They just want to throw out the water from their property. So that's what I feel. They put concrete pavings, and they don't even, I'm talking about we don't even have the decency of making the pavings permeable. Because I showed you the kind of problem that we are going to have soon. That was so when you come to high-rise buildings, my attitude now is different, because we are not good for maintaining a yard, backyard farming, and a front yard, open space like what we used to have traditionally, without, any kind of paving, which really affects the nature a lot, So I think so if you put a tall building if you can put a tall building and reduce the footprint. Okay. I am thinking of that. How to put tall buildings to reduce the footprint so that we can have a lot of nature around us. So I'm not going to restrict to the height of the coconuts. When you have tall buildings, naturally the density is higher for that area. So you can place it nicely. Because vertical travel is cheaper, faster, efficient. And knowing our kind of the likes, we like to be comfortable. We like to just step in, go up to apartments or go and stay there. So, I mean, this is another thought, it's just a thought process. So especially for Kerala, it's better, I think, we are spoiling a lot of our natural heritage and biodiversity as such. A lot of biodiversity we are upsetting. And about water, you said rightfully, we also used to drink like that. In Rajasthan, every drop of water there is to be very careful. Yeah. Please go ahead.
Yeah, what Eugene said is that you are against high-rise buildings initially, but you are thinking of the low footprint that has. Like I said earlier, we have a very unique ecosystem, and if you have a horizontal growth, all this unique ecosystem will be gone.
Will be gone.
Yeah, because we can't afford to. We can't afford to destroy our forest and wildlife. We can't afford to destroy our wetland and backwaters. So the only area we can stretch our buildings is to the midland. That's the area the Kerala government should be concentrating. And since the density of population is almost more than double that of national level, we have no other option but to go. We should have more FAR, and we should go little high rise, but not beyond the height of the coconut trees. Because if you go, this is something Mr. Gopakumar, S. Gopakumar, Anuja's father has told to me earlier.
Yeah, Jose, we have to be open about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's also, if you go to Genting, Malaysia, they have a casino there. It's high rise. They have preserved all the landscape.
Yeah, actually, in eco-sensitive areas, you can actually do some high rise.
High rise.
So, sticking on with, of course, bamboo can be used. All materials can be used.
And also, I think, as a senior architect, I am going into more detailing. Like now, I am designing a wash basin.
You heard?
I am designing a wash basin.
Okay, you're designing a wash basin. Yeah, fine.
Because where we can save the water which is being spoiled and wasted. So these are the detailing now I am attending to.
So if you could have a specific question for Mr. Matthew. So
yeah. Matthew? Yeah, and actually the project you showed, it uses a lot of used timber and it was quite interesting. It was quite interesting.
So you want to deliberate me more on that? Or you want me to deliberate more on that? Used timber?
No, only certain things I always have concern about is the usage of material, whether for decorative purpose or for any kind of, because I've gone through this, more into sustainability. So I always feel less is more.
Yeah, that's right.
For aesthetics purpose, if you are putting additional 1 cubic meter of food, I always see it in a different way. No, I was just telling, I appreciate the aesthetic part of it because it should have aesthetics working well too. Because that is the only grit
Yeah, I agree to your point, sir. Hope we are audible to all. See, the thing is,
Is it audible?
okay, fine. Can I continue?
Yeah, please.
Okay. See, when we talk about wood, actually, now there are so many methods to use wood in different forms. The shavings of the wood.
Yeah, wood is a very sustainable material
Yes.
because it can be grown without any problem. It only absorbs the carbon.
Yes.
So more wood you grow, especially bamboo. What Jagopal is doing, bamboo is the most versatile material. You can replace reinforcement steel, bamboo as a reinforcement with concrete. There's
Yes.
a lot of codes, but nobody is interested.
We used to have the same type of concrete way back, maybe in 80s, because I started my architecture course in 1980. Then I heard about this, concrete instead of steel, bamboo reeds are used. I was really surprised how it will stand. But now I give kudos to Jay because he's using the same technique even now at this modern age.
In 2000, it's about 70 years old structure. The slab of my this septic tank was made with bamboo.
Oh, right.
70 years is going strong. So it's an amazing project I'm seeing with lots of used timber and it's
I think,
7
we
minutes. I'm given
We
a
have to wind up.
wind up. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
A round of applause for Mr. Jagopal.
Good evening, all. Let me introduce myself. My name is Henry Pies. I'm looking after the business development activities of Kerala. I'm welcoming you to my presentation. Let me start with the company profile. In nutshell, its MRF brand is well aware in India, and MRF Vapaka Paints is a subsidiary company of MRF Limited. And for the last 3 decades, we are developing and distributing the quality products in pan-India. For that, we have 3 fully equipped manufacturing units in India, and we have a R&D department with highly qualified chemists and engineers to develop the quality products. And for the distribution part, we have 3 RDC in India and 9 RSOs and 37 depots in India. For this strong distribution network, this kind of facilities helping us more to deliver our products into near to you. And one of the interesting part, പ്രത്യേകിച്ച് ഞാൻ എടുത്തു പറയേണ്ട ഒരു കാര്യം എന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ ഞങ്ങളുടെ ഒരു ബിസിനസ് ഡെവലപ്മെൻറ്റ് ടീം പാൻ ഇന്ത്യ വർക്ക് ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ട് ആർക്കിടെക്ട്സിനെ സപ്പോർട്ട് ചെയ്യാൻ വേണ്ടി. So let me move on to our product category. MRF paints have 4 product category: wall finishes and wood finishes and metal finishes, and some interesting specialty products. So let me show you our wall finishes first product, our luxury category PU based emulsion Aqua Fresh. The technology that we use in product, develop this product, is a polyurethane dispersion technology. That means it gives the extra strength to normal acrylic emulsions. And it's a low dirty pickup, and it's a water resistant and highly durable. And obviously, for the current climate condition, നമുക്കറിയാവുന്ന പോലെ തന്നെ ഇപ്പോഴത്തെ ഈ ക്ലൈമറ്റ് കണ്ടീഷൻസ് മാറി വരുന്ന മഴയും വെയിലും ഇതൊക്കെ സർവൈവ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റിയ ഏറ്റവും ബെസ്റ്റ് ഇൻ ക്ലാസ് പ്രോഡക്റ്റ് ഫ്രം അവർ MRF family, it's Aqua Fresh. And obviously, it's an eco-friendly product, lead content less than 19 ppm. And for the interior system, the same way we have the Aqua Fresh interior. The key point of this product is that it's a highly washable product. because of the many challenges that we face in interior is a stain. We can wash it out even more than many times, and it's available in two finishes, rich sheen and the matte. And we are providing 7 years performance warranty for this product. It is our premium segment acrylic based emulsion. The key highlight of this product is that it can be applied interior as well as an exterior, so no wastage of the paint. And we are providing 5 years of warranty for this product, and it's highly washable and highly stain resistant. And it is also an eco-friendly product, lead content less than 19 ppm. Here is the Visa. It is an economical category emulsion. We are providing it with the 3 years of performance warranty. 900 plus shades are available in it, and we have two finishes, shine and matte. It's a highly washable and eco-friendly product too. And for the exterior economical category, we have the canvas, and it is also have a 3 years performance warranty, and is highly durable and washable and economical category eco-friendly product too. And our specialty in emulsion or wall finishes, we have each top coats have separate primers for the better performance and better addition of the product. So the first one is our PU wall primer. The key point of the wall primer is that it's a crack bridging ability. It's applied under the coat of our Aquafresh system. And second one is 2-in-1 emulsion called Altura, that's used for the Altura top coats. And in economical segment, we have the exterior as well as the interior wall primers for the canvas and the Visa. So next one, I'm proudly presenting our iconic product, the wood coat. നിങ്ങൾ പലർക്കും ചിലപ്പോൾ ഇത് അറിയാവുന്ന ഒരു പ്രോഡക്റ്റ് ആയിരിക്കണം. സം ഓഫ് യുവർ പ്രൊജക്ട്സിൽ നിങ്ങളിത് യൂസ് ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ടായിരിക്കണം. ഞങ്ങൾ MRFൻ്റെ ഒരു പ്രസ്റ്റീജിയസ് പ്രോഡക്റ്റാണ് വുഡ് കോട്ട് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. എന്താണെന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ ഇതിൻ്റെ ഹൈ ഡ്യൂറബിലിറ്റി ആൻഡ് ഫിനിഷ്. ദിസ് 2-pack PU polish system gives the extra durability on exterior as well as an interior. And we have it's available in 3 finishes. Previously we have only 2 finishes available, glossy and silky matte. But continuous ആയിട്ടുള്ള ആർക്കിടെക്ട്സിൻ്റെ ഡിമാൻഡ്സ് കാരണം 2 months ബിഫോർ നമ്മൾ ഒരു ഫിനിഷ് കൂടി ഡെവലപ്പ് ചെയ്ത് മാർക്കറ്റിൽ അവൈലബിൾ ആക്കിയിട്ടുണ്ട്. ദാറ്റ്സ് കോൾഡ് ടോട്ടൽ മാറ്റ്. ആൻഡ് ഫോർ ദി സ്റ്റെയിനിങ് വി ഹാവ് exterior and interior stainers also. And it is also an eco-friendly product. And another product from the same flagship is our metal coat. It's a metal coat is a PU clear as well as is a pigmental top coat. It's for the metal and wood and plastic surfaces. It's available in 3 finishes, glossy and matte and metallics. And more than 3,000 shades are available. It's a highly durable and eco-friendly product too. And this is our acrylic superfine 1K finish. It's a multi-purpose premium single pack acrylic pigmental finish. It's available in 5 shades, the bright gold, bright silver and bronze and copper finish. And it is highly durable and washable and stain resistant. And I'm introducing our enamel. It's not a simple enamel, it's a PU enamel. We have added PU, 5% of PU in this enamel. As you know that the normal enamels have a life of 1 year, but with the PU performance, the film strength and the durability is far and double better than the normal enamels. It's a best in class and 31 shades are available. And this is our newly launched product. The name is saying that the Zameen 2K PU floor paint. The Zameen, it says that earth. It's developed for the paving tiles and as well as the concrete floors. And it has ready mix 8 shades
Mr.
and a
Henry?
high exterior durability.
Mr. Henry.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt, but we need to wrap up.
Okay, definitely. Let me see. So let me show you some of our recent projects. This is Amma Memorial at Marina Beach we have recently completed. You know that it's a Zalain area, and with of many competition, they have approved our product. And this is from our Calicut, our own Kozhikode, the Altura Metallic Gold. And it's in Marcus Knowledge City. It's a recently completed site in Kerala. And how we can support you? Let me say that our business development team there in Pan India to support the architects, and free product sampling from our independent sales consultant, and project paint preview for also. And new RDC at Kochi for the availability of the products and 6 sales depots and direct supply to site according to your demand. And we have a regional training center to train our stakeholders and free site supervision, and according to your demand, the customized shades will be available. So try new. Thank you everyone. For the coming days, we will be meeting you. Our business development team will be meeting you for the coming days to pass over the other products, and we have a 200 plus products to give the awareness of that product. Our secondary team will be meeting you on coming days. Thank you everyone.
Topic on tradition versus technology. And before we start the design debate, I would like to say how honored I am to be part of an event. Part of an event where I'm a speaker, where Eugene sir is also one, my guru, and the person who was instrumental in teaching me the ABC of architecture in design school. Eugene sir, it's an absolute honor to be here with you today. Also excited to be part of a panel of very creative group of young architects in the panel who have already proved themselves in producing exciting designs in a very short span of their design career. So warm welcome to the panel of Next Gen. Today I'll be moderating the design debate where we touch upon topics related to traditional architectural practices and how technology has changed the way we design. So before further ado, let's start the debate, and hopefully we can have a couple of questions and we'll try to keep it as short as possible. So one of the first topics we want to touch about today is sustainability in design, which is being talked about a lot, and that's a new buzzword. Something which is addressed today, and even Eugene sir was talking about, and many of the doyens were also talking about it. So the question first is that as young designers, how much of importance you are giving to sustainable architecture practices in your design projects, and how easy or how difficult is it to actually follow sustainable practice in practicality? And I think I will start with Shyam. I think you can go ahead and talk about.
The question was sustainability and how we try to implement it. First of all, I think the whole thing about architects being sustainable, especially when we are, designing houses and all of that, is pretty farcical, because ultimately, if you're building something onto the earth, it's basically you are constructing something foreign into the earth, right? So, however you put it, the best you can do, best way to put it is probably how we can harm the earth least. Whatever you're doing, you are going against something that is sustainable. Yeah, because humans used to live in caves. From then it came forward and we started building and bigger structures. So I honestly don't think however you put it, whatever you do is not sustainable per se.
So do you try actually in some of your projects to
we do try to not to harm too much, but then I don't think we are doing a good enough job with it.
So I think one of the topic which is talked about is that it's an expensive affair. I think I remember somebody was talking that it's an expensive affair to actually right now to continue to do sustainable projects in writing platinum rated or green rated buildings. So how difficult is it probably to convince your client to?
See, that's the point. So the whole point of it being sustainable probably, it's a lot of, like sir earlier said, it's a lot of marketing also involved with it. Like, see, if you call it organic, when you call it organic food is a lot more expensive than what you get normally. So the mass population won't be able to afford whatever is being proclaimed as sustainable at any point at this moment.
Thank you, Shyam. Mahir, I think you want to add something to it.
The thing is, last time someone was presenting, I don't remember, that we do have Midlands ready for construction, only that is left for construction. The reality is we have only 13% of land which is available for construction in Kerala. So we have to understand that. From that reality, we have to start working. So in that case, we have to practice it now, not later. We don't have much time. So regarding sustainability, we do practice our projects in a sustainable way. In that, we try to minimize use of materials, and we do have an NGO, which is called Foundation. We try to teach people. We could educate 400 plus people in last 2 years. So that's pretty good. And
what does this NGO do actually?
It's actually for promoting sustainable architecture, so, learning and doing research. The thing is, cement is taking 6% to 8% of the carbon footprint, right? So we do have an alternative called lime. Right now, lime is not being used, and people are rejecting lime because they think lime doesn't serve the purpose. Because of the cement industry, through their marketing and through their, I mean, everything, the lime is being kept apart. That's the thing.
So I think more awareness in this area also is definitely needed.
Yeah, we had a client. We were doing a factory project in Mysore. So that client came to us. He told we need a net zero building. So we were wondered. So nobody comes to us like that, no. So we asked him, what is the reason you are asking for net zero building? He told he needs to export things to other countries. They only accept products from net zero buildings only. So such rules should come. Then only people will start practicing.
Thank you, Mar, for that input. Next, I think we'll go to Afnan. So now we want to just kind of switch to technological part of how things have been changed post-COVID. There's a shift in the way we design and how we design and practice, and how the procedures and process of design changed. After the post-COVID era, how much has technology influenced, or how that has changed the way you practice and the way actually move forward as a practice in design?
Okay, great. See, what we feel is we had an imagination pre-COVID. We haven't expected such kind of an experience, ever in since many years. So basically, COVID for 2 years has given as when you talk about our practice, what experience we had, things has changed a lot in terms of, there was a kind of a process for any architecture practice, from starting from design to execute a building. There are a lot of process, right, involved, and most of them were like, physically attempted stuff, there are many projects, what we understand is, though without visiting a single site visit, we can finish a building. So that's something which we really understood. In terms of technology, it's not that you don't go there, but everything is actually being online. We all know that, our virtual meetings nowadays, even the selection of materials in terms of, how to select it. So in that way, things has been moved so technologically advanced. The same way, when you talk about technology, I think it was there before, but I think COVID has created people more aware of how to use this technology, not only for architects, at the same time, clients are also aware, this is very important. So in that way, I think things has been more fast, the works has been, much faster in terms of design. You have everything in your hand. You just have to just click. That's all. So post-COVID has taken us to another level of, design phase in terms of practice. I hope, for me, what I feel, that is also a part of sustainability, because you don't have carbon footprints. You don't have people, spending so much amount of energy as well as money in terms of, how you're doing everything physically. So as just a point to add that, sustainability, it's a very subjective thing. So even when you go for sustainability, a small part of it itself, considered as a sustainable stuff. So altogether, there are merits and demerits in terms of, that is again subjective. So I just want to shorten it that, COVID has made us, all of us, aware that, we can do something which we never thought before. Thank you.
Thank you, Afnan, for that input. Organizers, can we have the people at the back be a little quiet, because I know the bar is open, and excuse me, everybody at the back of the bar, either you can just pick your drink and come here, and or get us a drink also quickly. Yes, absolutely. So you've been also waiting for the bar to be opened. Yeah. So, question to Hafif actually. Earlier architectural design practices were much more simpler. It's mostly limited to parameters like space, light, ventilation, and few traditional building materials. But however, nowadays challenges in design and construction is much more complex. It's not limited to these parameters alone, and so there are so many things involved right now when you come into design. So how do you kind of make that balance between trying to keep your projects keeping in focus all the traditional elements or the way we have practiced architecture, but how are embracing technology? How is that? Because so complex it has become with the kind of parameters which you have in one design project. So how do you manage that, and what is your take on that?
Okay. Connecting with the theme we were discussing, even the seniors. Talking about our practice in our studio, we were mostly inspired by the traditional, or whatever we call the things in the past, and we always relook into it or go back to it, and that is the inspiration we have, and we always work with the takeaways from all this past and all this traditional thing, and we try to work those things in the new situation, or whatever the new problem we have, the current situation. And I feel most of the practices in our generation, or in our age, most of the people in our age, rather than going behind the technology or whatever modern part we were discussing, they are, most of them are kind of inspired with the things in the past, or the traditional, call it like techniques, or whatever, language or whatever. Because when we look at the like the material palette or the design techniques, the design language, we currently work with, or the people who currently, when we look at the Instagram post or the projects people publish, they are mostly inspired with all these things in the past than the techniques or modernism, whatever we are talking right now.
Thank you, Hafif. That's a very interesting point you have made, how social media and what you see, you're connected to the internet and everything, and so many information is out there. We'll come back to that, but before that, Arun, I think, do you want to add something about how, that big shift has come in terms of earlier it was much more simpler, to do projects, and much more, things were much more simpler. Now it's become very complex, and by using these complex technologies also, we are actually sometimes giving a better product, and sometimes even a more sustainable product. Like today, Havels was talking about how lighting solutions are being brought forward to ensure there is minimal wastage of power, and using LEDs and stuff like that. So many technologies actually coming in to actually make the buildings more sustainable, as well as it's of course being complex. So what do you want to add on that?
So in the new era of information, so we cannot neglect building as just as a building. We need to see building as a system full of information. So
can we increase the volume of that mic, please? I don't think people in the back can hear. Yeah, you can.
Yeah,
okay.
Audible?
Yeah.
So we need to start seeing building as a set of system that can live on its own. So something, when we are trying to make a system more efficient, like a smart building, we need, it has become a necessity to use tools and softwares and technologies where we need to process multiple information in a building to make it more cohesive and energy efficient and smarter. So earlier it was 2D, 3D, now we are slowly moving towards 4D, 5D, 6D, and all the way up to 9D. So processing all the information, incorporating new technologies has become a mandatory for architects to evolve better and smarter buildings.
Thank you, Arun. We'll come back to the point where social media has been touched about, and social media is now influencing a lot in the way we actually do design or how we showcase our project. And nowadays everyone has constant access to design data from around the world. Even our clients are also having access to design data just like how we do. And is that a boon or a bane, and actually how you tackle this? Because they're also coming out with information saying this is what we want, this is not what we want. So how, as a practice, as young architects, how that is influenced, social media has influenced the way you practice, or you are inspired by other projects, and how you handle the clients in that aspect? Anybody can take that, yeah?
So I think it's more of a, it's a way you look at it. So it's a more of a half glass full or empty approach, right? So if I would say, like you said, clients have a lot of exposure, right? And they might often send you pictures or like references or whatever they like and all of that. So yes, it does get uncomfortable at times when you feel like they're trying to backseat drive the design. But at the same time, you also have the same exposure. You also can make use of all this exposure, right? Because earlier you had to visit, like, maybe starting out, somebody who's starting out might not be able to visit all of these wonderful buildings or like all the references you get. It was much harder to get access to all of these. But now it has become a lot more easy to access all of this. So even if the client has access to all of this, that applies to you too. And often I feel as a practice, we don't refrain from the clients, or we don't stop the clients from sending us pictures, but because we tell them, like, during the ideation phase, you do send us whatever you've liked. Because maybe the client, probably they might not be able to tell us exactly what they want, but when they send us, maybe 50 or hundreds of images, we as an architect should be able to identify what is it that they are connecting to in these pictures. Because most often, as most of you would have experienced, all of these pictures might not even be the same style, or you might wonder how they like this and this together. Yeah, but then, so I feel as an architect's job, we should be able to decipher from all of these set of...
And refine...
yeah, so basically we can refine whatever they are trying to and project it into a way that we feel goes along with our own design ethics. So in that way, it is good. And on another perspective, as a young practice, and as a young practice who has gained a lot of projects earlier on due to the social media and the increased reach that you might get much more earlier in your career than what you used to before. Because earlier it had to be just word of mouth or things like that could give a practice, because that can take your projects to more people. But now you can make use of all of this. So yeah, it's more of how you look at it. You can use it as a boon or a bane. It's up to you.
So these young designers here are people who have actually used social media a lot to actually project their firm. Like how Shyam was saying that it is very, earlier it used to be so difficult for people to know what is the kind of practice you do and what is the quality of design you do. And now it's more easier to actually reach out to more public, and that way catapult your project to a next level. So definitely that's something.
Yeah, it's like more than like getting a lot of projects, it's more of, letting your work reach. So you can, when somebody is approaching you, they already know what you are about. So they can easily choose. Just like you can also get the right kind of client to you quicker. Because initially you might only get clients through your know-how or contacts or something. But now you can get clients who actually want the kind of work you do.
So they can connect to you. Afnan, you want to add something to that?
I think for us, I would say that social media has actually given us a big impact on our practice, because I think because of that medium, we could work in different parts of the country as well as outside. So which we feel that, that's an real good accessibility for everyone. So when you talk about social media, I take it as a positive thing, because that's an information and even knowledge, for everyone. So when you are actually pushing the knowledge, that means there will be hurdles. You have to tackle it, and that's what you are capable of being professional. And when people are actually having doubts, it's all about, when you are an architect, you will get a lot of questions. Take it as a question. Rather, if they are putting some reference images saying that, okay, this is what I need, when you feel that, that's perfect for them. You just agree for it, or you can even have chance to even convince them. So always that thing is there, but this is a world where, you are having more knowledge, more information. So then, of course, I feel that that's a positive thing which we didn't have before. So That's what I feel. And even as I mentioned, if you are talking about whoever we are practicing, most of them are actually reached most of the other places, other states, countries. We are practicing. I mean, our works are reaching somewhere else. So in that way, I think that's a biggest thing. Which
so that way, technology is definitely helping you in that. So as young designers, are you under like constant pressure to keep updated with this, or not only for young designers or any design firm, under constant pressure to continuously update yourself with what is happening and what technology is happening and how you can actually put your firm updated with that? So is that like a constant pressure which you're going through?
It's like as you all know, architecture is we are learning every day, so it's not a big deal. Regarding social media, for us what happened is our firm was a 30 people firm. After the pandemic, it risen up to 50 people. So that was the impact the social media and this pandemic gave to us. And with respect to this, I think every day we have to do the research and get updated. Then only we'll be able to survive. That's what my point.
Hafif, you want to add something to that? Okay, great. So we'll quickly go to probably one of the last questions. And this is something which as young, and I was talking to these youngsters before we kind of sat into the panel, and we were talking about things like metaverse and NFT and things like that. These are the new things which people are being talking about. So will we soon have architects or designers who will only be designing in the virtual world? Is that the future of architectural design? And will there soon be architects or designers who will be famous for works they have actually never physically built? So this is absolutely amazing, because
we will like how we all are carrying phones today, we will have alter worlds. Meta space is something that is like unavoidable. It will start evolving on its own in soon near future. And definitely as architects, as much as potential there is in the real-time world, there will be potential in virtual world too.
So you think that AI will take over our jobs?
Definitely. Like if you see now we have Mid-Journey, where a client or any person can create stuffs on their own. All that you have to do is put a prompt called imagine and then say whatever words, like say contemporary building, background city, or like wood, concrete, whatever it is, AI is gonna generate an image. Right now the client is walking in with a Pinterest image and saying that I wanted something like this. In future they would say exactly the words that what they are trying to communicate with us with an image. Today AI can create an image with prompt words. I'm sure in future it can create designs, and so we are not very far away from that.
So that's a very scary proposition for all of us.
It is a boon and it's a bane also. Say like for us as an architect, like we are not like, it's a poetry that is written very slow, architecture. So earlier poetry can be written over a piece of note of paper. Like for us architects, it takes a lot of time, maybe a small sketch and stuff kind of thing. But now with AI, whatever the idea that I can conceptual can be generated immediately. So generating design is more faster. Ideating design is faster. So we can see it as a boon also, and with clients it might sometimes be bane also.
Just like Arun was saying, right? So you're saying the client can easily create, but then see, is it just about the client not being able to create? But the whole point is that we can actually be more creative than them, right? So if the client can create something with the AI, let them be like, if more people can benefit out of it, it's good, right? Because at the moment, a lot of people can't afford architects, right? So if they can create, it's good. And also at the same time, as an architect and as a creative person, I would like to think that probably you'll be able to use it better. But if not, we'll perish. Like it's the basic Darwinian principle. It's the survival of the fittest. If you're not needed in the society of the world, you will perish ultimately. There's nothing that you can do to stop it, no.
Hafif, you want to add something about metaverse? Okay, thank you. I think,
I will just add, I had a kind of an experience what I had. Being an Acacia member, there was a kind of a thing where you have 28 countries, young architect stuff, and I'm in part of a committee. So the guy from Malaysia, he was like, we are going to organize an exhibition for artists. You get few good digital art content and give us 2 entries from India. So what I did was I just collected few of our friends, 2 stuff, and they submitted. So one day they are like, okay, there is an exhibition which is coming up on so and so date. And he has created this kind of a virtual reality exhibition,
Gallery.
in an heritage building. That's something which he created. He's an architect. So it's like, you're moving inside, and you've got all the exhibition arts of these 28 countries, and all of them are actually visiting. So we were in another world. So the first question is, where are we standing? Because these are our neighboring countries, like from Singapore, from Malaysia, all the other places. That we are still, where are we in this context? That is a big question. When you talk about NFT, still people are like, what is NFT? What is metaverse? We are still in that thing. So probably I think that's something which we are going to experience, whether worst or good, but this is going to come.
So technology is definitely going to take over. Is there any questions, the audience? I know it's late and I probably don't think anybody wants, just pass a mic on, please.
Can you suggest an appropriate technology for Kerala, which is cost affordable to an ordinary person? And how much it will cost per square feet?
So this is a very tough question. This is a debate which has been happening. I think somebody was talking about construction shouldn't be 3,500 rupees a square foot. It should be much lesser. So at every point of time, boundaries definitely has to be pushed in how to reduce costs. But I believe that there is an economical aspect to it, and there is there are influences which are actually pushing the construction cost high, whether it's cement or steel or anything. So it's going to be a vicious circle, but I don't know, is there any...
I'll take that question. I think we should think about having small spaces with multiple utility. The furniture can be changed, and such spaces, I think that will be the ideal solution for Kerala to reduce the construction cost.
I think so, this kind of debate should have a result of this kind of thing. I think.
So what
should have a conclusion like this, I think. Otherwise there is no use in discussing things like that.
No, what Mayer is probably trying to say is that we will have to, how spaces are defined, we'll have to kind of understand how each space can be redefined at every point of time, constantly changing to cater to different uses. So that way, probably the footprint reduces, and that's one way to reduce the cost. Is that what you're trying to say? Yeah, I think that's
exactly. In case of, if you can see that you may be aware of the housing related to the flood, that flood houses that we have recently built. That was using the normal conventional method. That has cost around 550 square feet. Building has cost only 5.5 lakhs. So, what is the how we can improve with the traditional method, the technology, how we can adapt to improve the efficiency of the building along with the cost effectiveness?
Maybe usage of reuse of materials can be a solution. The bricks or interlock bricks, which is made out of waste materials, that can be a possible solution.
I just want to add that since this question has come from this thing, because since we are architects, of course, we have also a better exposure in terms of how to use sustainable materials. But the same way, when even client also have that exposure, of course, as your question, how affordable it can be, really it can make. Because when you just see how sustainable practice happens outside the countries, with local available materials, and when it comes in such a worthy manner, but here what happens is that we want a stylish building with an affordable price. That's a difference.
So that's where things go wrong, and we saw some of the works which Jay Gopal sir was showing, absolutely amazing works where he reused some of the materials. Even architect Matthew was also talking about a project where many of the materials were reused to actually make a building. So I think those are the solutions which we have. Of course, debates like this definitely happen, but the whole idea is to give awareness to a lot of young architects sitting here, and also people that, okay, there is a direction we need to take to, and probably try and go in that direction. It's a long journey. We are far away. Eugene sir's presentation was very scary, which we have to do it faster, I believe. Thank you. Any more questions? Anybody has any more questions? Yeah, please go ahead.
Hi, at the cost of being a problem for many of you, may I ask this question? We all are, basically architecture and design is all about uniqueness and creativity and being one of a kind. Do you think technology is going to standardize everything? Do you think we're all going to be on a common platform? Do you think we'll all be, the things that we don't want to be our uniqueness or whatever, we don't want it to be shared? Do you think this is going to make things transparent, if I may say so? Do you think technology is going to make the whole architectural and design industry available and free for all? And will it reduce the value of architecture and design? Do you think our profession is going to be redundant, in short?
Definitely. Like as free will, free use, design would reach there. And design is something has been there like a luxury. That would change. Definitely
and that is where probably design will be affordable, is what you're trying to say, that it can be affordable.
Design would be like freely accessible by everyone. So that day would definitely be there. That day we need to question ourselves, like as an architect, what is our role? Our role is not going to be static as how we are limited to aesthetics and few functionalities. Our role will go more deeper. Our role will be like how efficient are we? How economical are we? So it's not about just aesthetics, it will go more beyond than that.
And wish you all the best, and thank you Architects Interiors for inviting us for this. Thanks.